Okay. No. You better run. I better. So we're gonna go to this event, export division weights, and it's gonna give us a spreadsheet that has the divisions and the weights and all the different things on it that we've done for registration. So it's gonna be exactly what we matched in registration here, okay? So we're gonna take that, we're gonna export that out. And then once we have this, I don't need to worry about membership for, well, I'll leave it up to importing, but I'll go here, and then I'm gonna come back over here, and I'm gonna go set up importing over here. And I'm just gonna upload that file in. All right. So now when we upload this file, this will be weights. And data type is going to be weights. And I'm going to choose that file that we just did.
And files, CSV.
CSV file. Yep. Yep. And then include headers to headers on. Okay. So you shouldn't have you don't need to manipulate that file. You don't need to touch that file. All you're gonna do is just take it from membership and upload it straight in here. Okay. Now when I upload that, it's going to go ahead and match everything for me: the name, the division, the discipline, and the max weight. So it's already going to fill those out for me. Okay. Now what it's going to do is, because it's a multiple style tournament, it's going to give me an 8U boys GR and an 8U boys FS. So it splits the divisions out for me, puts all the weights under those divisions. So everything's already set up for me at that point. Okay. So that takes care of the confusion of, everything comes in as one division and you put everybody in and they're not, how do you deal with that? So first thing you should do is just come in here and just upload this file. All right.
So when you did the importing, you could not import weights. You have to do that export and import.
I could if I was doing a different tournament. If I was doing a tournament from last year and I was importing, I could import the weights from last year. This is to show you guys this function is the whole point of this. Okay. So if you have a brand new tournament, and because if you're doing a tournament and they're doing Joe Blow Schmo local tournament, and you're going to pull and you're going to do registration through membership, chances are they're not going to use the same weights classes. They're going to change something about it, and so you're going to have to make sure you're pulling the right stuff for those. Okay. So now I'm going to save that imported data, and it's going to run that down into here. And when I come over to my weights now, I'm going to notice that I have, once it gets done running, come on, there we go. Now refresh it. Boom. Now I have my 8U boys Greco 40. All those are there, and I can actually go in here and sort by discipline if I want to. Freestyle, and I can see all my. Did I not get my freestyles? Did I do all my stuff? Oh, I know why. Hold on a second. I gotta go to my divisions. Is everything set up? 8U boys only the Greco. That's a problem. So what did I pull out? 8U boys. Oh, because it's an old tournament, guys. Sorry about that. I'll fix this right now. Because it's an old tournament, all these only Greco is the only style on here because you cut them off when you don't want registration open. So I've got to put freestyle back on for a second. Hold on a second. Do that. This is what happens when you're doing it live. Freestyle.
Totally didn't do the same thing at some point too.
What's that?
I said totally did not do the same thing at some point.
Of course. Let's see. And all I'm doing is I'm going through my registration and adding freestyle back to it so I can export out the age and weights correct or the weight classes correctly. Because normally what you would do is after you set your tournament up, the registration is open, you can go ahead and do all of these things, upload those weight classes, all that kind of stuff before registration closes. You can do it the week of, 2 weeks out, whatever you want to do. That way you're not having to do it all, right there at the beginning of the tournament, trying to rush while weigh-ins are going and everything else. You want to do this stuff ahead of time. So like the second you get your access to tournament, your registration set up, people are registering, then you'd want to go ahead and start to look at doing this stuff.
Dave, while you're doing that, so one of the ones I did, the morning of, I didn't build any of this stuff in there, but the morning of after weigh-ins, I imported everybody.
Yep.
And it built all the divisions.
And it will. It 100% will. But what that does not give you the ability to do is set up the rest of your tournament for you. Because what you want to do is you want to do this ahead of time, because this will trigger all the things that you can do ahead of time. Now I can build my schemes. Now I can build. Now I can do my weigh-ins. I can set up everything about the tournament and my event schedule, all the different things all those things I can build out ahead of time so that I don't have to be out on the morning of having to do the whole tournament at once.
Right, the specific filters that you
Correct.
use for everything.
Correct.
It's also when you import that way with dumping it only will go in weight classes that are filled. So if you have an empty weight class, it will not pull it out.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, if you have somebody that didn't register for something, it's not gonna pull it in. I want to reset these weights and divisions real quick, and just so we can do it the right
And
way.
you might be going over it later, but so when I do that import actual weigh-ins, I'm guessing I probably need to deselect something like because I've already built the weight class.
I'm gonna go through all that stuff.
Yep.
All right, so now we're gonna go back in here again and do this upload again. I'm gonna pull the file down. Weights. Cool. All right. Come on, upload. We're gonna delete this stuff here. All right, we're gonna add this again. So now if I go to my setup and weights, you're gonna see no weights right here down. Perfect. Now I'm gonna go set up importing, and I'm gonna put these things in. Uploads, add upload. Again, this is the weights file, so you want data type of weights. File. And now we're gonna upload that. Okay, everything matches up, we're good. Go ahead and save that. Now, as that's running and as that goes through, again, you're gonna see in your weights, you're gonna have everything. First, let's go to divisions just so you see. It goes ahead and builds a division for you, assigns the discipline for you, has the unit of pounds on it, has everything ready to go for you right there as it's all ready to go. And then as you get to your weights, you can see, all right, now I have all my weights here. Everything's here for Greco. Now if I go to freestyle, I have freestyle ones. Everything's good. We have all of our stuff in here now. Okay. Now with the divisions here, the other reason for putting them in here is say I wanted to order these differently. I can go ahead and order these now. I can put them in the order I want them. All the different things I can go ahead and have that stuff set up. So a lot of times, like at the U.S. Open or at some of the other tournaments like U23s this weekend, that sort of stuff. The order in which we were going to wrestle is what we changed the divisions to, so that they just fit in the same way we're going to wrestle them. So boys up, girls up, whatever it is, whatever your sessions are, we'll build them out however you want to. But you can go ahead and reorder these and do all that stuff now ahead of time. Okay. As you start putting that stuff in, that also allows you to start going through and setting up your stuff. Because now that that's there, I can go to my event schedule and I can say, hey, I've got this session. I've got this session here, and I can go ahead and start putting in these. This is freestyle, so FS. And by the way, if you type in these boxes, if you start typing in like FS, you can hold control and then you can select the ones you want. So it's like 8U, 10U. You don't have to keep going through it and figure out whatever you're doing there, right? All right.
You just typed in filter it done though?
I just type FS to filter it to freestyle,
Okay.
and then I hold control and I can select whatever I want to from there. Okay. And then boom. And then now. Yeah. And now, most of the time, with your event schedule, as you're building your event schedule, really all you're caring about is your divisions, unless you're really getting into the weeds of yes, but we're only going to run these weight classes, we're only going to run these certain mats or whatever. For the most part, you would just leave these blank. Okay, you wouldn't have to worry about anything else on this. But mostly the divisions are all you're looking for on these event schedules. Okay. All right, so we'll save that, and that allows me to start building these out, so I can build those out. And then once they're built out, like Greco all here, I can just go. So everybody sees how sessions work and all that kind of stuff as we get through this. So here, and then this is freestyle 16 quiz intervals. So that's all right. So it allows me to start building those out. Besides that, then I can go to my schemes, and when I start looking at my bout schemes, I can start building out my bout schemes too. So I can come in here and say, hey, we're gonna run it as a single scheme. We're gonna call this freestyle. You know, I want to have, and what I'll do is session 1, FS, whatever I want to do there. And now I can choose those divisions that I wanted to here that we just did for a freestyle, which was everything but 16U. So and I can start that at any number I wanted to, however I want to do it, whatever. Now, the thing that this allows you to build out for numbering and for assigning if you're going to assign matches to mats. Okay, we have a couple of new things in here, so I want to save this off for a second. So now, if I want to use that number and I wanted a number from 1 through everything for that session, 100% I could do that. Okay. So then if I want to get really into weeds, and this is the Pete Isaiah of things. All right. So when you start running these besides your schemes here, if you want to start assigning things like, hey, I want the semifinals on certain mats, I want to do certain things like that, you can assign out then and add a new scheme. And by the bout types down here, you can actually assign that scheme with semis or whatever rounds you want as you want them in here. And when you put those rounds in, then you can again say, hey, this is my semis for those freestyle divisions we just talked about.
But does that mess up your bout number? So
It does not, because we're not going to use it to a number. I'm going to show you that. Hold on, question to the end. So yeah. So when we come in here, I'm going to take out this number because we're not going to use it number. Okay. So now I would number with this. That's going to be my number scheme. Okay. But I want to assign the semis to certain mats for those. I want all the semifinals to be on these 3 mats. You probably wouldn't do all the divisions, all that kind of stuff, but you can break that up however you want to. It'd be like, hey, I want the bout type of semis on there. Okay. We just went through a change where all of our rounds are going to be consistent across all brackets. So when you go to production now, I'll show you. So when you look in here now on these bout types, you got quarter semis, consi subs, semis, so the consi round before the semis, that sort of thing. Consi semis, 7th place. You got all your different placement matches out here. Championship rounds. Then you've got your round of 32, round of 16, those sorts of things. So those are consistent across all bracket types. So that way, because what we had a problem before where if you were everything started with championship round 1 and went through whatever. Well, some brackets have 5 rounds, some of them have 3, whatever. So now they're all consistently with round of 16, round of 32, round of 8, whatever. So that way, if you're trying to pull all the quarterfinals for every bracket, you can pull all the quarterfinals for every bracket. You want to pull all of this round and these constellation rounds, you're consistently doing it across all brackets now as you go through those things. So that'll help if you're doing anything crazy like Pete does, where he likes to put certain things on certain mats and likes to highlight, do all kinds of things. Okay. But for the most part, for your individual tournaments that you're going to do on your local level, you're going to number and run from the same scheme and just be moving. So there's not going to be an issue.
High school events.
Yes. Yep. And you can break it up that way. What I'd say is and what you would do in this case, just so you know, I would pull, like if we were going to use, if I was going to number and use this to assign from, but I was going to use the semis as a separate one, I would come in here and go, all right, I want all my bout types. I want all bout types, but I want to take that semis out.
So it's just what that is.
So that way, where's the semis?
Left, the other one left, right?
Oh, there. I would take the semis out. So that way, this would assign everything but the semis at that point.
You have to take those out to have the other one singled out, right?
Correct. Yeah, because if you're going to use this, you're going to say, "Hey, I want this mat I want this scheme to just keep running on all these mats, but I want to pull the seams over here." You have to break it out on the one you're signing from. Yeah. Don't. I use the same one just because it was here. I would have created 2 different ones I'm assigning from. I would have had a number scheme and an assignment scheme if I was going to break them out like that. Yeah. But that's how you would do your high school. Well, certainly you can do that with your high school.
With the Michigan States as well, because we had kids that we were trying to make we had premium mechanics for the challenge match, like
Yep.
ones that could get challenged for, so we had to do something similar.
Yep. And that would allow you also to create those assignment schemes at that point for here's my 7th place, my 5th place, my 3rd place, my finals matches. So you can have those mats rolled up wherever you want them and assign them to it and have it go that way. So you can always break those apart and do those through your bout schemes as you're going through this.
And does that apply to the round robin too?
So the round robins are championship round 1, 2, 3, whatever the championship rounds are. There's no placement matches. There's no medal matches. There's nothing for round robin. So you have to kind of play that however you want to play it. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Depending on who it is, I mean that's the hard thing about the round robins. It's not always the last round robin is your finals match. So yeah. All right. So now we've got that stuff taken care of. I'm going to go over to I want to go over to membership one more time. I'm just going to pull. I'm guessing everyone knows how to export out your registrations, so I'm not going to worry about showing you.
Style.
I'm going to show the import of the multiple styles, but exporting doesn't matter. I guess I can show you a couple things here. Let me just say it. All right. So if I'm going to come in here and I'm going to export out one, if I have registration closes for freestyle and I got Greco registration still open, okay, filter down and say I want just my freestyle. And if you did weigh-ins through membership, you want to say only those who have weighed in, okay? And those would be the ones, all right? So you would export those guys out, and that would give you your freestyles, okay? You can do then you come back after Greco weigh-ins, do the same thing for Greco, all right? Now, for sake of we've already done all this, I'm just going to take these out for now. I'm going to do everybody at once. Probably not advised. We're going to do it anyway. I want to say who has weighed in. Okay. And 2,816 kids. So I'm going to export these guys out. Yeah, blow it up.
Yeah, was that?
We're going to blow it up.
Okay.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Slept for 3 days. After I got 4.
What was that?
That-
You're moving too fast. Could you slow your turn down, please? Tell your people not to do so fast. All right, so I want to save that. And now we're going to come over here and import all those people at once, just because why not? And when I come in here to my importing uploads, now this is my wrestlers. Okay, if this was a freestyle, it's just my freestyle list. I'd name it freestyle wrestlers, whatever age groups, whatever I was doing, just so I could keep track of what I upload and what I didn't. But right now, this is just everyone, so we're just going to call it wrestlers. Data type is wrestlers, and we're going to choose that file that we just downloaded. And then we're going to upload that. Churn. Takes time. Especially on staging. Okay. So now, key things we care about here. Okay. We didn't add some fields in here that I would say we go ahead and add. So we're going to set up event fields because I want to make sure I got my fields in here. I've got actual weight, I've got divisions, I've got state, but I didn't have date of birth. I want to put date of birth in here. Especially when you're looking at USA stuff and you got date of birth ranges that can't span different divisions or whatever, having a date of birth in here already helps you to be able to get that stuff taken care of. So we're going to put the date of birth. Anything else we want in here? Probably not. Not for you guys. Okay. So we're going to add date of birth there. And now we're looking at my data fields over here. We've already got a freestyle in the Greco pin because we imported them, so awesome there. So, but the way you would create those, whatever pin you're going to have, you're going to make it a wrestler entity and make sure it's an integer. Okay. And that's the way you do that. And I'll show you the setup of it. When we come in here, give it a name. It's going to be on the wrestler. The code will automatically fill out for you. You're going to have an integer and you don't have to worry about minimum, maximum, or any of that stuff. Okay. Now, what I would do in here is because this is a freestyle pin, okay, I want to come in here if I'm going to use pins to seed by, and I want this to just apply to my freestyle divisions. Okay. And because what this does by doing this, when we start talking about seed criteria, it will take out the fact that this criteria only applies to these divisions, so you don't have to worry about flip flopping your does Greco count for freestyle or whatever. You're saying nope, it's only going to count here. Okay, so that way a Greco pin doesn't get factored into your seeding for freestyle. Okay, go back and do the same thing for Greco. All right. So now you got your freestyle Greco pins taken care of. Did I say that? Yeah. So now we got your freestyle Greco pins taken care of. You got your core fields. We added that date of birth just to make sure we had that in there. And now we're going to go back to that file that we just uploaded and use it. Okay. Now, being a multiple style tournament, if this is just a freestyle, if this is just a folk style tournament, you just choose division and move on. Divisions are only thing that matters. Okay. If we're talking about a multiple style tournament, we have freestyle and Greco in the same event. We want to go down this list of things here. We don't need seed because we didn't put seeds in. Okay. We start coming down here. State's fine. USAWID, great. Division. Okay. We're going to take this division out Because as you guys know or have seen, when you run this file, it's going to create the divisions if it doesn't exist. Okay. Junior boys doesn't exist. Junior boys FS and junior boys GR exist because we use that file to push in the different styles that we had. Okay. So now we can leave everything else the same here as we go through it. Weight class, actual weight, all that's good data. We're going to come in, we're going to make sure we choose our freestyle pin and our Greco pin. Where did I miss it? This one, Greco pin? Freestyle. Greco pin. You get my Greco pin. All right. And then down here on the end, we see this division style where it's this is what our divisions are actually named in the system because we combine that down. So now it's junior boys FS, junior boys GR, that sort of thing. I want to make that my division. Okay. This will save you all the headache and all the problems that you have when you're dumping people in. Okay.
What is the blue name?
The blue.
I know the blue, I can't read it.
Division style.
What? Oh, division style right here. It's not blue. I was like, that's not blue. Okay. Yeah. Division style. I was like, that's blue. That button's blue. All right. So we're going to save that imported data now. Okay. Because everything's in there. But now it's going to start pushing these wrestlers in for me. All right. And as I look over at my wrestlers, I'm going to start seeing them start to pile in. It's going to put them into this guy's wrestling freestyle and Greco in their weights. Everything's starting to dump in for me. Everything's going to be good now. Okay. So now everybody's broken out in their right styles, all the things. I didn't have to do any of the headache of trying to figure it out, separate them and doing all that stuff. Okay. All right. And what I said, if you missed that step or any of that stuff as you're going through it, before you start your tournament, realize it. Reset it, and just redo it right. It's just like it doesn't take that much time, but it's just one of those things where make sure you get that part right on a local style tournament. Okay, if it's folk style, you don't have one style you don't have to worry about. It's just running through. You're good. But on these type of tournaments, you're going to want to make sure you're doing these things. Okay.
There.
Yes, you could. Yep, you can import them. But if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you delete your no shows. Okay. So that'd be the thing. Make sure you delete your no-shows, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second as soon as it's finished up. Upload these guys. Put these guys in.
Does the PIN number show there or does not?
It shows up on the kids.
On the child.
Yep, on the child itself.
itself.
How many we got? We're halfway there. Probably shouldn't have uploaded 2000, but yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens. Go big, go home. So now, while this is going though, and we could have done this ahead of time once we did that upload, while that's still working, we're gonna go over here and set up our period links. And for my period links, I can say these are everybody but juniors. So that's gonna be my event default. But then this is my juniors is the 3 minutes. So I want to make sure I pull out my juniors. And make sure I assign my correct time periods to those guys. Now, we have this. This is a UWW. This is a Rich Bender thing. Okay. Rich saw everything, was like, "Oh, I like it all, but I want the clock to count down from 6." Okay. So if you wanted the countdown from 6 on your freestyle stuff, the stop times here, you're just going to add in the extra 3 minutes. You just put in here, and it's still comma separated. So you only need the first periods of 180, and that would make the clock count down from 6 minutes to 3, 3 to 0, that sort of thing. It's a Rich Bender UWW thing. So I fought that all I could. All right. So there you go. I said, "This is America. Do it that way." That did not win. That did not win at all. So yeah.
Sarah Brand, US.
Yeah, exactly. This is USA. It was like, but I paid the bill. I was like, okay, good point. All right. So yeah, so that's how you would go from there. Okay. So now now these are done. So I'm gonna go to my wrestlers now. And now I can see all my wrestlers are in. They've got all their appropriate stuff. If I look at this guy here, Vincent, and I look at Vincent, I can scroll down, see he has his freestyle pin and his Greco pins in there. So I can see all that kind of stuff's already there, ready to go. Okay. Now, did I bring in your bracket types? Let's see. Bracket types. Great, I did. All right. So all your bracket types are in. So now I'm going to go. I mean, pretty much that's your setup, and now it's just running things like you normally would. I go to my operating. I go to my my bracketing. Drop down. I want to assign brackets to weights. Okay. Which divisions are who goes place 4? Centrals.
The little.
The little bitties. 8 and under. 8 and under.
They're easier to select all than white.
Yeah, it's only the 16s and juniors, yeah. Yes, exactly. We've done this.
Job.
She's done this a few times. All right. So now I'm going to go here and I'm going to assign these. Now, because what we just talked about was the place 4s of these, I want to make sure that when I select all these, I take out the ones that are place 6. That way we just have the place 4s in place. Place 4, place 4, 6. That's not going to be a break you're going to need for those guys, little guys, but we'll take it anyway. Okay. Right there. And place 6 here for the deep down. Okay. So now we're making sure that we're assigning the right bracket type to these guys. Okay. Otherwise, if you did all bracket types, it's going to go to the first one it finds, and then it's going to assign that one, and that may or may not be the one for that weight class or for that weight class. Okay. So we'll assign those guys. Assign. And no, I haven't done any combining or anything like that I could do, but I'm just not doing it right now. Okay. Yes, but that you probably have learned this year already. Okay, so I'm going to come back through here again. They got everybody but the 16s and the juniors. And then this time, we're going to take out place 4s. So I don't want that place 4, that place 4, that place 4, that place 4. Boom. Okay, we'll sign those guys on. All right, so now once we've done that, now I can start looking at my. All right, now I want to see my weight classes. Okay, so when we see the weight classes, I don't care about. I'm going to take out bracket types because I want to do all the bracket types, and I want to do all my weight, all my divisions, all my stuff. And we're going to seed it based on the skill, based on C criteria. All right, and I guess I should do that first. Let me go. Take my Grecos first, or my freestyles first. Because my different C criteria.
It works best to do one at a time.
For if you're doing a multi-style tournament, I would see my style just to make sure you get it all taken care of for it. This is good. So now my C criteria, my minimum value is going to be the freestyle pin. Max, so freestyle pin value, minimum freestyle pin value. We use 1005 because that means that at least they had to have had a win. They have to have somewhat of a winning record to be 1005. And so, because everybody starts at 1,000, so if you have some new kid that came in that's never wrestled, he's going to be at 1,000, even though he has a 0-0 record. And so we do 1,005, so that means that they've actually got to win, that sort of thing. So we on our regional national level, we go 1,005, and then we will go from a C max C perspective. Usually, depending on bracket sizes of things, is there's a whole formula we have that we can get to you guys. That's like anything 32 and below is like 12 guys, 64 and above, we go to up to 16 or something like that. But we have it all laid out for you. So I'm just going to put 16 for now, right here. I'll put 16. And then percentage, we always go 50%. So that when you get down to those, a 4-man plays 4, it's going to only do 2 of them. Or if you get into an 8-man, it's only going to do four of them. That sort of thing. So it's not seating out, 12 people or 16 people in those brackets, that sort of stuff. Okay. Yep. You do not. It can be one or the other. It can be one or the other. It can be one or the other of these, or it could be both. That sort of thing. Now, what I would say is, even for this right here, so the 1,005, if there's a weight class that doesn't have but 10 people at 1,005 in a 64-man bracket, it's only going to see the people that meet that criteria or above. So you will see some of these brackets, and we'll look at them where you'll see, hey, it didn't seed 16 when it should have. It seeded 13 because nobody else met that criteria of being over 1,005. Okay, that sort of stuff.
If you click on that I, does it tell you?
Yes.
1,005.
No, it does not. It just because you can set it for whatever you want to. This is our standard that we do. I mean, if it's like in a P&L tournament, which is more of a higher caliber of kid, it's probably going to be 100. That was probably going to be 1,050 or 1,080 or something like that for them. It just depends on the caliber kid. Like a lot of times,
1,001 for our state.
yeah. It just depends on whatever you want to do. Right. So a lot of times what we'll do is we just do 1,005. That's just our standard of things. But then it just depends on whatever you want to do as your state. You may have a state at state level. You may notice and look at some brackets and see that, your average people are like 980 or whatever. Okay, well, make that number lower so they can be separated out correctly, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we don't use pin at all in our state, for our state level tournaments or middle school. Because I've filled out criteria for middle school. You have on track wrestling, obviously, because nobody in our state, and I don't even completely understand this. I'm willing to learn, but we got some archaic folks that don't. I start throwing this out there, they're gonna.
Yep.
It's gonna take a minute to get them bought in.
Yep,
But-
and that's all on you guys. What I say is, all this about is getting its results, and then it starts calculating the calculations for you to give the ratings for people.
But
And
how
that's
do I just build just like if I say that I just want to
Yep.
give this seating criteria like
if you want to build seating criteria, it's set up and oddly enough called seating criteria. So you just go there, and then you can build out the criteria however you want. Just like I had seating criteria here, that was these 2 pins. I could actually build out that criteria to be whatever I wanted to. But you got to make the data fields, and you got to make sure that the wrestlers are able to select those fields or whatever when they register, that sort of stuff, or assigning them off. If you're gonna do records, you can do all kinds of different things that you want to there, but you got to collect the data to be able to do the seating criteria for it. Okay, but yeah, so that's how you would do that, and we have videos on how to set your seating criteria on our
Show
YouTube
one of
channel.
our girls section over here.
Some good production. But what I would say to you too, John, is getting them to understand the pin and being able to do that. One is less work on you. 2 is getting them ready for regional and national competition, because anywhere they go regional and national, they're gonna be that's where it's gonna be used. So then they don't come to the head table and ask us why. Right? So
That's a couple years there.
I got some people talking about it. Like as soon as John Carr told me I had to start using QSA
I did.
marketing, I started. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then people started using it.
Exactly.
Coaches started using
Oh,
it.
sure.
They're like,
Matrix.
okay, all right, yeah, that's pretty cool. So they come up.
Might be, maybe Reno. Whatever the.
That did Columbia
It's-
City.
so do regional or sectional with it.
Sectional.
That was.
Oh, you search for section.
Yeah, search for
Oh,
sectional.
so I can't see those little letters.
Oh. Words are hard. Is
From large ones to
Just
small
little.
ones. Yeah.
that big enough?
That's why I came up
Yeah.
front.
Line people up front, please. All right. So now when I go here and look at my C criteria for this, because they set C criteria, it was, was the wrestler qualifier last year, all these things that they had to answer on, they had to answer these as they registered, and then use these for C criteria. So you could build out your C criteria and do whatever you want to with
Now,
it.
those questions that you say register, those questions are actually in USA membership.
No, they're not in the USA membership at all. Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to be registered through here if you want to use this.
Got you.
Yeah. You'd be registered through bracketing if you want to ask these questions, because we don't ask questions. Yeah. So yeah, so core fields, they take the grade into account, then they come in here and they go into, these are their data fields, was the wrestler, and then it was a select box where it was yes, no, whatever. So they set their records, and a record will go by number of wins, win percentage, has to have X number of wins, all those sorts of things you can set up in there to be able to.
Just like in track, everybody got a statistician email, they went in.
Yes, and that's what they do.
Same thing.
Same thing. Yep.
Different setup.
Yeah, you have to set the data fields, and you have to make it required at registration, that sort of thing. So that way they answer them. Okay.
And then the user filled then too for the coaches.
There's forces. Their records are great.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's what I've been trying to get, especially grades.
All right. So then once you've got that, let's go back over here. Okay. So now once we're here, we've already gotten in here. Now let me assign these seeds for these guys. Then I'll come do the same thing with Greco. I'm just going to change this over to being my Greco pin. Okay. And then we'll assign those guys off. And then once they're signed, now it's just build your brackets. So we just go right through. Yep, we want to build all, just to build them, let's just get them built. Let's go build 1 billion brackets for this tournament. And seating, we want to make sure we use the 6 seats. Okay? And then we're going to build that bracket off. And it's going to throw all the stuff out for us. Okay? So now it kicks off this job. These jobs start kicking off 200 or whatever brackets, and they'll just start going down every 5 seconds. It refreshes for you, lets you know how many more it's got to build. But if you ever want to look as well, you can go to your operating jobs, and it will show you all the jobs that you have pending that are sitting out there to run, and so you can see all the jobs that are running, that sort of thing. If you ever run something in the system that kicked off a job and it returns and you're like, it didn't do anything, whatever, you can go here and you can see if it errored. It'll tell you, it'll be a big red error if it errored or something. It'll be like, hey, you didn't do X, Y, Z, that sort of stuff.
What would make it error?
Usually it's on the importing if there's some data problem. If there was a data problem, like if you try to duplicate a wrestler in the same exact stuff, it'll be like, no, that guy's a problem. Don't do that. It'll tell you here. It'll tell you that there's duplicate, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So those are done. So now if I go to set up weights, I'm going to see all my weights are in here. They're built. All that kind of stuff. We didn't combine and things like that. I figured you guys already know how to deal with that. But we have all these guys in here now, and they're all ready to go. Now, whole point in a lot of this right here is, and I'm going to go ahead and number these two just to do it. Operating belt schemes. We've got a freestyle. Let me go make one for Greco. This is where Jen telling me she wanted a duplicate would be really helpful, but I haven't done it yet. So, okay. Hey.
And she's not put everything on the list.
Yeah, I know.
Sure wish you guys could get busy on this free platform.
That's right. Let's see. All right, so I'll make this one. Actually, you probably get a lot of freestylers. You get it for a lot of freestyle belts. All right, so add that. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and number these real quick, just so they're numbered. Number, sure. I'll just get numbered. And so the reason I was looking at that was now when we come back in here, I want to show you guys this part up here. So this is new, brand new that we put in the last few weeks. Okay, I'm running a multiple style tournament. I got freestyle and I've got Greco. Okay, right now, and especially at some tournaments, Pat, you're in charge of freestyle. I'm in charge of Greco. Okay, all right, and they're running at the same time, or they're going to be running, or I need to work on my Greco while your freestyle's running, whatever. I can come here and click on this little filter, and I can tell the divisions or whatever I care about. And so I can say, I only care about the Grecos. I'm just going to choose a few Grecos. Like, yes.
Can you click that?
The little funnel. I click the little funnel. And then from here, I can choose these. And when I choose which ones I care about, okay, and think about it as far as like if you're a high school JV versus girls versus boys, you can quarantine off what you care about. And then when I apply that, now when I go to things like wrestlers, I only get guys that are Greco. I only get the Grecos. If I go to my divisions, I'm only getting my Greco. So I only got the Greco stuff. So now it starts to filter things down for me as I go through things. So that way, hopefully you're not doing things like, hey, I'm going to rebuild brackets that I've already wrestled, or done some crazy things because you were working on something thinking you were on freestyle and you were on Greco and you blew it up or something like that. It'll help you kind of quarantine some of that stuff off. Okay. Now here's the downside. The downside is you got to remember you did that. We have it up here at the top. But you got to remember you did that because if I get a phone call saying, hey, where'd all my freestyle go? And I'm like, did you click your filters? So that's the whole thing. But yeah, so that allows you to knock those things down, and that goes across much of the site as we could.
Right.
Well, menu's the menu. It goes across the data. Yes. All your data. All right. So that way, when you're looking at things like if I go to my bounce page now, I only get my Greco bounce. Okay. And all it's doing is just pre-filtering for you. Okay. So it's already pre-filtered and has everything already filtered. So you're on your Greco, everything's Greco, you've got that stuff there. So that's what this filter is up top. Okay. And then you can always come through and just clear it, apply filters, and boom, And now I'm back to my normal, everything's on the same page. I got everything now. So now when I go back to my valves, now I've got 4,000 something instead of the 1,000 in the same Greco. Okay. So yes, that filters all that kind of stuff out for you as you're going through things. All right.
That's some nice stuff.
So then, a couple other things as you're going through these, right? So on your schemes, if you put those schemes out right now, this is set up. This is not set up for with the assignment method. So I'm going to go because I can see here if I'm trying to assign the scheme to a mat. Okay, I want to assign a scheme to the mats. I don't have a place to assign it. All right. Number one trigger that you should say is let me go check my settings. Okay. If you don't see a way to do it, go check my settings. Okay. So I'm going to set up settings. And I'm going to go over here to my operating first. I can see I've got matches to mats, but I have no assignment depth. Okay. So I'm going to make my assignment depth. The assignment depth will automatically come in at 3. When I imported in and wiped everything out, it took it out. So that just was a friendly, good way to be able to see that. All right. And then I can also come over here to bracketing and notice, make sure that I'm using everything here. I've got my predefined weights, everything's good here. So you can start looking at all that kind of stuff as you're going through your settings. But assign matches to mats. A lot of times what people have is they'll have assigned weights to mats and they won't have the matches to mats. So it doesn't give them options as well. Okay. So make sure that you have matches to mats and you have an assignment depth. And then when you go to your mat, alphabetical order. Where? All right. So now I can see, now I can assign them again. Okay. Now, a couple things on this. When I go to my session, I'm going to say, I want these freestyle ones here. I'm going to put a semi here just to do it. Okay. Now, everything is assigning a depth of 3. Okay. But if I want to assign my semis at a depth of 2, all I do is on this page, I can click on the 3 and say, hey, for this scheme, I only want to assign 2 at a time. So it'll change up the depth of it. So you may have little kids that you want to make sure that they're at the mats, whatever. We're going to assign those 4 deep because I want those parents to have those kids there. My big kids, they know what they're doing. We can leave them at 3 or even move them to 2, whatever. And you can do those things.
Did I miss it, or didn't change either one, or did you highlight both of them to change the?
It does everything assigned.
It does everything that's on that scheme. Anything that's assigned that scheme. Okay.
Wow.
Because it's assigned to the scheme. Now, to answer your question of the parent that says, hey, you're moving too fast. In a general tournament setting, if you want to slow it down, move that to 2 instead of a 3 depth.
Okay.
And it will slow it down because now they're not going to get in the mats as fast because they're not ready to go. So they're going to get there 1 before instead of 2 before at the mat. So that will generally slow those mats down if you need to slow something down.
I remember jumping 20 at a time when I was like, we have 20 masks.
Oh yeah, we have 20 mats. There's nothing good about 20 jumping. That works too. That works too.
Yeah. He's like, the bouts are jumping at like 30 at a time. I'm like,
But it's 21 minutes.
So I'm going to make these all freestyle for a second.
Here's your flu.
I know, that's what it, yeah, sorry.
I had a parent complain one time because a child she did not even know had wrestled twice and her son had only wrestled once.
Okay, so another thing for you. Okay, as you're in here, if we're running a freestyle session and we're going to roll right into our Greco session. Okay, so when we're done with freestyle, we're rolling into Greco. All right, and you got to go pee. Okay, you don't have to watch your board. Okay, so you can come over here and say load next, and you can go ahead and say load up my Greco next, and then the second that the freestyles are done, it will roll over and start loading the next scheme for you. So, but where that comes from as well is if you think about those mats, you're like, hey, we're gonna wind these down and I want to move these to the semifinals or whatever. You can adjust and move or I got my semifinals running. The second those are done, they're gonna go back to all mats. You can go ahead and assign that off so that when semis are done, it'll assign all mats, go through those things for you. Okay, so you can do those sorts of things. All right. So here's probably the best thing that's happened in a long time in a while on the system is I'm going to go back to settings and under operating. Okay, these right here, valve look ahead and max go times. Okay, so it is pretty cool. Okay, so bounce look ahead. All right, when you're running your schemes, All right, when you're running your schemes and they're running on the mats, all right, you run into go time issues and you got to monitor it and you're trying to fix them or whatever. Okay, balance to look ahead and then maximum go time to assign a mat. All right, what that does is it says how many matches do you want me to look down the scheme and see if I can assign something else, so I can skip the ones that it will automatically skip the ones that have wait time. So you can put on here say anything that has 5 minutes or less we want to assign. That way it goes. And then max depth, usually what we would do is like a 10 and a 5. Okay. So I want to look 10 bouts deep on the scheme and see if there's anything that has 5 minutes or less on that of wait time. And I'm going to assign that. I can assign that to the map because by the time it gets to go, we'll be ready to go. That'll skip over the 6 or the 10 or 20-minute wait times. It'll go ahead and skip those automatically for you. Okay. So that right there is huge and helps out. It helps a lot as you're going through things. Under operate, under the setup settings operating.
He's gotta zoom out.
Yeah, I got to zoom out to show you. All right.
When it's at 6 months.
Setup settings, and then you want to go to operating. Okay. Look, we're not ADA compliant yet. Okay. So there you go.
So the bound put like 20 valve.
Do not put 20. Don't overrun yourself. You'll overrun yourself. I mean, there's a ebb and flow to it that you need to figure out and play with. But usually,
Well,
and
they actually three, and sometimes the about 5 or 7.
Yeah, but-
Says they use 10 and 5.
I'm saying we're using 10 and 5 because
I do about like 1 per mat or 1 or 2 per mat. So like if you're running huge event, so like at Central Regional when I was running, 20 mats, then I did make it bigger
Yeah.
because it's filling a lot of it, right? So you can kind of go by the number of mats.
Yeah.
If you get 6 or 7 mats, probably like a 5 by 10 or 10 by 5.
Correct.
10 mats.
Correct. Yep. And so, and when you think about this too, think about what you're doing there, right? So it's about it's per scheme, right? So it's doing this on the scheme. So if you have a scheme that's assigned to 2 mats, doing 20 deep probably isn't going to be good, right? So you got to think about your scheme and how many mats your scheme has that you're going to be averaging out there to do that stuff. I mean, and when I say we're like at Southeast Regional, I was running this and did that, and so we had like a 10 and 6 is what we were running. It's like, hey, if it's 6 minutes, we can put them out there. We're running 3 deep on everything, all these sorts of things. So, and really and truly, we only got to a wait time because we had the larger bracket, those 128-man brackets, that those last 2 rounds, and we had like 2 bouts that were wait time that we had to manipulate because this couldn't get to it because they were just ran out of space for it to check anymore. So it's if you have, especially in the high school tournament when they're all the same bracket size, pretty much, you're gonna be really able to hit that mark pretty good. Okay, and not have to manipulate or watch it so hard with your go times. Okay, all right. So yeah, so that's what that is. That's your bounce look ahead and your max go time is the 2 things that need to be set there, and it tells you everything what it is. Specifies how many mats to look ahead, find a replacement, specifies the max times that we can do for it. Okay. All right. Okay, so now let's go over to our dashboard, or a couple things. So let's go to operating bouts first. Let me go into my bout screen, my bouts here. We've made some changes here just so you guys can see some things. Okay. If you go over here to your bout on 1, I can click on the wait now and it opens up a bracket for me. So if you're looking at the bouts page, anywhere all around the site now, wherever it shows the weight class, if you click on it, it will open up a bracket for you because that just makes sense. When I'm on a bracket, if I'm trying to manipulate, change something, and I click on the bout number, right there. I click on the bout number. I could click to go back to the bracket if I want to. But as I'm dealing with it, I can now place this bout on hold if I want to from right here. So I can deal with that. I can also change out, and if I was changing something, let me grab this guy here. All right, let me grab another bout. Grab a bout that has 2 things on it. Let me grab this guy. Okay. So say I was going to change this with this one. It'll actually ask me, hey, do you want to swap them? I can swap them on the bracket right here because I changed that guy out. But like swap those 2 guys, yeah, I'll do it. And then swap those 2 guys in placements on the bracket wherever they were. Okay. I can place that bout on hold. I can change the bout number. So if I'm manipulating something because I've got a guy that I'm putting in a bracket because it was a buy before, it was a buy, so I was going to put somebody in. So say I was going here. And I was going to put in some random dude. All right. I could then come in here and say, hey, I want this bout number to have 22 and give it whatever bout number I want. And that's going to give me that bout number. And still trying to say one because that's already advanced those guys out over. Okay, so I could change the bout number on the bracket too as I went through it and did that sort of thing. Okay, so I can change the bout numbers. I can do my holds. I can save. I can deal with all this different stuff right here from the bout if I'm doing that on the bracket. This also takes effect inside of the bout entry. So when I'm sitting on my bouts page, you get people come up and say, "Hey, the wrong winner was on this bout or whatever," right? So you go in here and say, "Hey, what the bout number was?" I'll say 22. Well, I can come down, I can place that bout on hold, I can change the winner, I can say whatever the number is. I can do those things ahead of time as I need to. So if you know bout numbers that you're having to deal with, like, hey, make this one a hold, I gotta put this one on hold or whatever, you can do those things. Okay? Yes.
Like our section or our regional speedways, we typically have 4 or 5 in the lower weights that can't wrestle second round because they're on wait time. So would you suggest using the hold or using the look ahead?
Look ahead. There's wait time to that. Holds are more of a one. If you run out of space and you really need to hold about because of wait time, hold. Okay, really hold it at that point. If the look ahead's not catching it, place that bout on hold. I'll watch the bout dashboard, and if something gets assigned because it just didn't have any other option, I can go up there and click on it and say, yeah, I want to hold this, and so I'm looking at my bout dashboard. And of course, it didn't assign any. But if this one had a wait time, I can click on it and I can say, hey, I want to hold that bout. Okay. So I can do it from right here on my bout dashboard. So I'm going through that. I can go ahead and hold those guys. Okay.
But that's gonna hold forever
Until you unhold it, until you release it.
You gotta remember.
Yep, until you release it. And when I hold a bout, just so you know, when I hold a bout, it's going to put a little hand down here.
Okay.
It says, oh, look, this guy's on hold. That sort of thing. So you can see where those are and all that kind of stuff as you're going through it.
And then you can zoom in on it so you can see.
Yeah, you can do that too. All right. And then I can release the hold as well. Release it, boom, and now that one to get assigned to a mat and be ready to go. So you can do that sort of stuff right there as well as you're going through those things. But yeah, so bout entry on the bracket everywhere now you can start to hold and change those things. Okay, and so that's how you would take care of that. So you get somebody that there's a protest on the mat, you want to be able to do that. You can go ahead and hold them manually if you wanted to. We have a whole other protest part that will hold them automatically for you if you follow protests and do those sorts of things that way too. Yeah. So but that requires you to have challenges turned on. So I don't know if you guys are doing challenges. I know you do at some points, but all that kind of stuff. Okay. So then let's see. Any questions so far on any of the stuff that we're going through?
You should wait till the end.
Well, you haven't. Well, you haven't. So go ahead. Maybe this is the end. Any questions?
No.
No. Yeah. All right.
Okay, I like.
Yes.
Dragons. So in track wrestling, if I have 18 kids in a weight class, typically I do not use a 32-man bracket. In track, it'll let you use a 16-man bracket, and then it'll give you prelim rounds.
Okay.
Is
So
there you guys adopted that yet or added that?
I want to show you a better way.
Okay.
Show you a better way. All right. So if I come into here, let's go find a bracket. So let me go find one. So it's not a prelim. What it is a 32-man bracket. You want to hide the bias. That's really all that matters. Okay. So when we're looking at a bracket, let me go find. Oh, yeah, this has 9 guys.
Yeah,
Okay. So this has 9 guys. So we're gonna go in here. We're gonna open that one up. Okay. So this is 9. And you got these buys over here and all this kind of stuff, right? So if I had that ability, I'm gonna go to setup bout types, bracket types. All right. I want to find that 60-man. What's that place for? What's that place? Yeah, place 4. Okay. So I'm going to my 60-man place 4. And this actually leads into a couple things you can do here. So one, preliminary threshold. I'm going to say anything that is 9, I'll put 9 on here. Or 12, I'll put 12. All right. So anything that doesn't have 12 guys in it, I want to hide everything about it. Okay. So now I want to come back here and refresh. It cuts down to prelim bracket. Okay. So it cuts down for me. All right. And so if there are 12 guys, that means all these would be filled out, at least some of them, so you'd have that stuff in there. But yeah, I can cut those out that way. All right. And then I've got that same look and feel as I was need to for my prelims when I'm doing those things. So that was under my bracket type. And then you're going to set up your prelim threshold.
Prelim threshold.
Yep. Okay. By that same token, I'm going to take that back out here. And let me go find a bracket that has setup weights. We go to juniors. 60 boys. Sure, we'll go this guy. 32 man play 6. Okay. So I've got this 32 man play 6. All right. I messed up. We're only placing 4. Okay. I've already built my brackets. I've already done everything. Now, you could go and rebuild with the right whatever. Okay, if you want to. Or if you want to be like, I don't trust that. I just want to go out. I just want to go in and be like, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I just know because it's there, but I can go heights about 60. And now when I go back to that bracket and refresh it, that 5th place match will be gone. Okay? It's gone from the bracket, it's gone from bouts. Nobody knows it exists anymore. Okay? So that way you can take things off. So if you're like, oh, we don't want to wrestle this bout, we're gonna take that bout off, we can do those things. If you want to get really crazy, you can remove some of these too if you want to, but I would suggest not. Just random holes in your bracket. But yeah, you can always do those sorts of things where you can hide bouts as well. Be like, we don't want to see that bout. That sort of stuff. All right. Oh, I was like, oh. Okay. So yeah, that's how you would hide, and that's under the hidden match IDs.
Why do you use 60? What? I'm confused on why you use 60.
Okay, good question. I use 60 because that's the number of the belt.
Oh, thank you.
So when I go over here and I look at here
Okay.
and I go here, it
Thank
tells me
you.
the match IDs, and I knew
Well,
that 60 was the 5th place match.
You see that we did. And I'm a close. I thought it was some magic number. Okay, so
It-
thank you.
It is a magic number. It's the number of the belt.
Okay, then
It wasn't random.
didn't know.
But also because my pet peeve with the way they did it in track was the finals bout should always be your last bout, unless it's a true second bout, and then that one should be your last bout number. So I know I can count back 1, 2, 3, and I know I'm at a final match for that 5th place match because 5th, then 3rd, then the finals. So that's what. All right. So yeah, so that's where all that goes. Okay, so let's see. Those.
Did Jen give you a list?
Yes. Yes. That is exactly what this is. Y'all know. I'll sit here and talk forever. All right. So if we're gonna assign weights to mats, because you guys do a lot of assign weights to mat stuff, right? So we're gonna make sure that one, just like we had to make sure that we had it turned on for matches to mats. We're gonna come in here and we're gonna make sure that we have that set up. So we want to go to settings.
Like specifically, I get a lot of calls where like I want the little guys on these mats, so show them how to build their bit.
Okay. You give me a note. Okay. So so as we're in here and I go to my operating, instead of matches to mats, I need to make sure I'm on weights to mats. Okay. And you can do both. All right. You 100% can do both. And it's kind of what we're talking about here where we want some of that stuff. But I'm going to go weights to mats
Right.
and we're going to cut off the ability to do the schemes. Okay. To assignment schemes. All right. So now when I go to setup and I go to my weights, I go to my mats. Again, I put wording. All right. So now my schemes are gone. All right. So all my schemes are gone and I can go assign mats. Right now, it's a ton of stuff, right? Because everything's determined. Okay. I can sit in here and filter and say I wanted my 8Us to be on mats 4 and 5. Okay. So I can come in here and my 8U freestyles. I want 8U freestyles on 4 and 5. Okay. I can come in here and I can filter by my sessions and it would filter out my session stuff here. And I can do that because there's my freestyles because I put all those freestyle guys in there. I can even take it a step further and say, hey, I want those, but I only want to see my freestyle 8Us. And I can also go with, I only want to see mats 4 and 5. Okay. And then I can apply that. And now all my 8Us are just on these 2. So instead of me having to drag them around and move them around and figure out where I want them, boom, I got them on the mat I want. Okay. So now I can say, all right, great. Now I want to assign those. And now those guys are assigned. Okay. Now I go back and filter out, say, where do I want my next group? Where do I want my next group? That sort of stuff. That's a little bit easier than having to have 22 mats and you dragging weights all over the place. That'll help you with ordering your blocks as far as like, I want these guys in these squad, I want this guy in this squad, whatever. You can start to do those things out as you go through those. But that's just by going to your filter and starting to filter those things out. Now, if I, for some reason, didn't filter down to the 8U and I left 4 and 5 up there, or even if I took all these off and I just go back to normal, it's going to show those guys are assigned, but it's going to start putting everybody else on those mats. Okay. So when you look at 4 and 5, you got these guys are assigned, but it started trying to put everybody else on there. So make sure that you're selecting your mats that you want to assign. Once you get them assigned, don't have those mats selected, that sort of stuff. Okay. For some of your smaller tournaments, you may just do 3 mats and just let them all filter out and be gone. But then when you get to the bigger stuff and you really want to be specific about what's on what mat, you want to make sure you're filtering those things down. Okay. All right. And then again, the whole point of this too, when you assign to a mat, then you have to make your bout schemes and make sure your bout schemes are actually using the mats to be able to assign them to the right numbers. Okay. We had that problem this year several times.
Yep.
All right. So if I go here and what we're talking about there is if I delete these schemes for a second,
Yeah.
I'm going to delete these schemes.
And the top ones.
I think what was happening to you guys was an importing issue. You were importing from previous tournaments and it wasn't holding us over.
So I've got 22 mats out, right? So I want to say, hey, I want to take these mat schemes and I want to do this and I want to assign these off. Oh, I want to add those. So now it's made a number scheme from 101 all the way to 2001 because it's taking that, mat number 01, whatever. Okay. So now where you get in trouble once you create these is when you're running multiple sessions. Okay. When you're running a freestyle session, then you run a Greco session. If I want to run these and track in the past, everybody likes to create 50 billion mats. All right. And they think that they have to have all these mats. You don't. You have 22 mats because that's what you guys 22 mats. Your schemes, you would say, I got these schemes. And then I need to go through each of these and say, hey, what divisions are wrestling on this session? And I would make all these be that. Okay. So I'd come in here and say, if this was my freestyle mat, I would come in and say freestyle. I just said the copy function. I just said that just like I was like, somebody's bugged me about a copy function. That would be helpful right now. But yeah, so I'd come in here and just choose out my different ones, all my freestyles. Okay. Probably put team back in there. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And then I would need to duplicate that because I don't know where I'm going to assign them yet. Okay, when I'm doing my assignment scheme, when I'm doing my assignment weights to mats, I may not know where I'm going to put them yet. So I'd want to do this ahead of time. Again, stuff you can do before the tournament starts. Okay, go and build out your session, put all the divisions in that you're going to have for the session, and have these. You can even rename the mat at this point to be session 1, mat 1, session 2, mat 2 for your schemes, that sort of stuff. Okay, and then you'd number them off that way, be able to run them that way. Everything would happen off those schemes. But the things to think about here are making sure that one, if you're using a mat scheme and you're going to do multiple sessions, make sure that you're assigning whatever divisions are wrestling at that time on those mats. Okay, because that's how that affects the numbers. Because if you didn't do that, it would go down and whatever the last scheme was, everything's going to be numbered from that scheme. Okay, so that's when you look at it, you're like, why is everything numbered 2000 whatever? Because it went down the path and it said I numbered everything from 101, then 201, then 301, and just went down the path of it as it goes through those things. Okay, all right. So that's how you filter down and do your things with those. Okay. Let's see. Do we want to talk about streaming? We'll go through that.
I just want you to show that, yeah, because we stream, our people stream, and I just want you to show the new way we do it.
Okay, cool. All right. So
not necessarily back in, but.
Yep. We've got some new things to do here. Okay. So one, OBS. All right. So let's show a few things. How many people in here had to do streams this year? The stream stuff. I like how everybody points to Jen like she did it all. She didn't do them all. Look at that. Well, here's the thing. You remember how you had to do that stream schedule? That stream schedule. You had to go mat 1, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that sucks. So we didn't. So I changed that. So now when we go under video streams, if I have my video streams here, so I got all my mats here, and I go to my stream schedule, I've got nothing here. Right? Hey, Brooke, you know how you had to do that every time? Hey, now all you gotta do is now all you do is click this button, and it just does it for you.
Thanks for making me wait.
I was like, you know why that happened?
Prevent.
You know why that happened? Because I had to do that. So I had to do. I was like, we're doing that right now. I was like, I'm not doing this for all these mats. I was like, Fix that right now. So yeah, so now you got an auto assign and it will go through. And as long as the mat name matches the stream name, it'll connect them and you're all good to go. That sort of stuff. Okay. So that's how you connect your streams. All your video stuff comes in. Then you just ready to roll right there over top of it, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, from a session, you notice that all the sessions are blank because if they're blank, so they will remain blank, and that just means that the video icon, because you're going to stream, is always up there. If you do it per session, if you want to add sessions to these, you can, but just know that that video link is going to come up and down based on what that session is. That also means your streaming at the table is going to get turned on and off based on that schedule. So if you're, I mean, I would say you only do that if you're really in tune with what you're doing there, because for the most part, you guys don't care. It's like we're going to turn on the streams, we're going to go. So you just leave that blank. But if you're really trying to be precise on something, you could do that. But then what you end up with is, you know, you're running 30 minutes behind, and all of a sudden your streams are like not streaming anymore because it stops sending the data, that sort of stuff. Okay. So yeah, so we just leave this blank for now. Okay. All right. So now I've got OBS opened up. I've got OBS opened up over here. Okay. And so now when I go to my, let me go see what, let me go create a user real quick. Users. What goes? Not existing. All passcode. Worker, because that's what everybody does apparently. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now a couple things here when I do this. All right. Does everybody understand that you got /worker now that you can go to get the kiosks and things like that? Okay. So let's talk about that. So when I'm in here under worker, okay, I may want to give this guy live scoring. I may want to give him the bout boards because maybe I want to have a bout board in the corner. Maybe I want to have, also want to give him weigh-ins because he's going to run weigh-ins for me. All those sorts of things. I can assign these off. I can assign different worker passcodes, or I can just use that one. Okay. Once I have my passcodes in there, if I go to staging, if I go to whatever it is, usabracketing.com/worker, it's gonna give me a kiosk. Okay. So you don't have to go log in at the computers for the live score. You don't have to go log in as yourself for the bout boards or any of that stuff. You just go to /worker, and then from there, using your worker passcode, I can go right settings. This is looking at staging already. Great. Now I can go back and I can say, hey, I want to go to events. I want to go to central. Take all that out. All right. Oh, let's just use today. Today, I made it for this weekend. So, okay, search. All right. So now I can go to my Central Regional Training. And then from here, I got access to live scoring, bout boards, and weigh-ins. Okay. And from that, I can go to live scoring and I can put in that worker passcode and launch it. And then boom, now I'm in here and I can go with it. Okay. So all you got to have from now on is to be able to know usabracketing.com/worker. Okay.
This takes the place of scoring. You can still go.
You can still go to scoring.
Scoring only get.
Yeah, you only get scoring. Yeah.
Nice for setting up workers for bout boards, especially when you have somebody who saved their passwords and they don't remember them at all.
Yeah, when you're running over the corners, and you got 3 bout boards. You're like, oh, I got to get these bout boards set up. It's like, hey, just go to /scoring and enter this passcode, and then you can set it.
To not, if you, I've had several people try to make different, like a user for a bout board.
Yeah.
User for scoring, but they give them the same password. You
can't do that
because then it's confusing.
Because then it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know who's getting what permission. So yeah. All right. Yeah, your passcode should be unique. All right. So now, as I go in here, now I can go in and start looking at my bouts. Then let's go to some bouts. So, I did 4 and 5, but I didn't number them. So let me go number them. Operate. I want the signs that I'm fine to do this way. So now I've got some mats up here. All right. So I've got my mat and I'm here. So now I do need to turn it on. So let me go over here and go to setup. So setup settings. Okay. With our new stuff that we're doing, under operating, when you're gonna stream something, we now have, we're gonna stream and we have this utilize open broadcaster remote. Okay? And what that is that's saying, hey, I want the controller to be able to talk to OBS. Okay? So it'll talk to OBS for you. Okay? So now I'll save that setting. And I'm gonna refresh this thing. Settings, refresh. Oh, showed my back 4. So, and now I get an OBS over here. Okay. All right. So I'm on map 4. I'm going to click on OBS. And now I'm going to connect to OBS right now. Okay. So now I'm able to connect to OBS. So it just started connecting to it. Now in OBS, there's a setting you need to set. You need to turn on WebSockets. And so you can do that. I'll just show you just so you can do it. When I'm in OBS, I want to go to Tools.
Updated OBS.
Yeah, updated. Make sure it's on the 30, whatever, 31. And then I go WebSocket server settings, and I want to make sure I enable the WebSocket server and do not enable authentication. Okay, so make sure that box is unchecked and that box is checked. Okay, when I do that, now I can go over here and I can connect to that OBS on that machine. All right, so they're on the same machine. They're on, my OBS is running and my controller's on. I connect that machine. I can now see things like I can see the current scene that's going on. I can actually turn on and off. Let me shrink this down for a second. I'm going to make this even smaller just because, it wasn't small enough for you. Okay. So if you look over here, you can see that these are turned on right now. I can actually say, I want to turn off the overlay. I'll turn it off for me. I can say I want to turn on the camera or turn off the camera. I can do those sorts of things right there. I can also start the streaming from here. So I can start streaming. Boom, it's going to start. It'll go ahead and kick off the stream. I don't know if I have streaming stuff in here, but so I don't have to go to OBS to do some of these things. Okay. I can also change from here. I can go to my event scenes, and based on this map 4, if we're streaming to flow, it's going to have the flow scene already for you. If you're streaming to bracketing, you can get the gray or the black graphics, and you can download right here and import that into OBS on the machine, and then you have that scene already set up. So instead of you having to copy and paste all the URLs and do all that kind of stuff, you can go right here and just copy this, just download the scene right here and import it into OBS. Okay, and so that would put in that scene for you. Okay, it also allows you from a you can deal with audios, you can deal with the stream settings. So like if I have my stream settings, like we talked about with where we're going to stream to, I can say, hey, I want to fetch that from, say bracketing, fetch the right ones. Now I want to update OBS. Oh, and it's updated OBS for it. So now it's already pushed all that over to OBS.
That's how it was. Yeah, we just did.
Yeah.
No, it's what you guys just did, but not everybody's seen this yet.
Yeah.
Where were you?
I'm just kidding. Where were you? But yeah, so that updates the stream settings. That allows you to download the scene. That allows you to do those things here. Okay. Now, once I'm on my mat now and I'm running my mat, let me get a camera over here. Okay. Because I'm not connected to the server. Let me go here and do this. I'm gonna go. Oh. Is that one? That looks weird. Yeah, we're gonna go that one. Okay. All right. So we're gonna leave that up there. Okay. And we're gonna make it fit screen because form screen. Oh, right, good. There you go. All right. So now when I'm on here and I go to my bouts here and I'm looking at my bouts, I can sit here and let's pick one. Go in here. Okay. So now if I'm streaming on these back here and I could start this from the other thing, but I'm just gonna start recording. Okay. So I'm recording. I'm not going to do a replay. I'm just going to do the recording. All right. So now this is recording. This is going on. We have this match going, whatever. All this kind of stuff's going on. I know I don't have the right graphics up here yet, guys. So I know it's on the flow graphics instead of our thing. I don't have the things running. Okay. So once I've done all that, I can then hit. So now there's a review. Okay. They're going to review this. I can say, okay, cool. I want to hit split. And it's going to download that video for me. And now I can click right here. And it's going to give me that video that I can go watch. Sort of watch it. Hey! Is it not going to go on my Mac? Well, but maybe not on the Mac. But this right here will download that video for you to your we'll download the video, so it'll go into your downloads, and you can click right here and then just open up that video straight from here. So you never have to go back to OBS to deal with it. So when you're running your reviews. And it's not just the 60 seconds. It's going to be whatever's recorded, and then you just fast forward to the end and back it up to where they want it, and then it'll clip the next one whenever you need to. So
Recording.
exactly, they don't accidentally not start recording, and they don't have to worry about, oh, did I hit the fetch? Did I hit the R key in time so that we actually got the review, or did we sit there and watch them talk for 5 minutes about it before I hit it? I missed my buffer, that sort of thing. So hitting the split, that'll bring up the camera, click the camera, and it'll bring up the video for you to be able to watch it right there.
Can you show me where that is in?
Yep, it's right here.
So right in the middle of it. This is a great balance.
See that gray box that says split?
I do now.
You'll click that. Okay. And then that will bring up the camera icon. And then you click the camera icon, it downloads that video for you. Okay. Yeah. I don't have my settings on here for probably saving it. So yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, so that's how the new video stuff works. And I would say it's pretty dang good. I mean, we used it in a couple of regionals already and things like that. Now, if you're streaming to Flow's going to want to do 2 computers, never want to do a whole bunch of stuff. That is not going to be any of this.
Are they gonna want it for the women's duels?
Oh, I think women's.
No, we're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it's enough.
no, because I'm working with Travis and he's not said anything
No,
about
they're not.
concealing.
Well, here's what I say.
JD.
Here's what I say. They have put out their whatever they are. I don't want to support it.
That's why.
It's like, but yeah. So what I'd say is Travis is going to talk to you about that at some point, and I don't know what he's going to say. I think it's probably going to be on you guys, and you guys should say
Yeah, no,
we've got too many
say
masks,
no.
got too many things. We want one computer at table, that sort of thing, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine. But their new standards, especially for like World Team Trials and U23s, things like that, trials events, they want two separate videos,
Yeah,
all the different
yeah.
things. And so the problem with that is also this doesn't work. This isn't going to work
Mhm.
because it's not on the same machine, that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
what's that?
I did that for you.
What? No, I know. If you remember what the blow up was, where I said some things,
Next week.
where I said some things, and so when I said some things, they decided they had to have some standards, so they were figuring out what their standard was, and I told them, but we did agree upon that's only when available at the LOCs. So you guys could totally say no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And that's all. Yeah. So
Okay, yeah,
when Travis
so
talked to you about that.
Travis, reach out to me
Yeah.
because I already told him I don't need people.
Yeah. So yeah, so I would tell them that.
Yeah.
I would be like, hey, we're gonna run one and
Yeah.
just be done with it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so that's actually what I was working on just a second ago with them to make sure that team scores were up because I had to test that to make sure team scores were on their graphics. So that's for sure. All right. So yeah, so that's how the streaming works and the splitting.
When you turn that recording on, you're relying on the fact that that computer that you're working on has enough space to hold your recording for the day.
It'll be what I'd say is they're not all that huge. You always at the beginning of the day want to wipe out your video stuff, your video folder, just so you get all the old stuff out, and then you should be fine there. I mean, if you got any modern computer, you're gonna be fine for it. If you're working on a 286, probably not. So
Like
yeah.
a TV.
Well,
they do it all the time.
yeah, but we did all of that recording on those, so just make sure that you go wipe off the section.
Yeah, you just want to wipe them off afterward.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Did you also clean our keyboards?
I did.
Hey, I got a monitor. I got a computer for you to clean after this.
She brought her stuff in and.
Oh,
Failure.
that was amazing.
That is a failure.
Our stuff is like a rock star.
Whatever I'm paying you, I'm halving it.
Yeah,
All right.
so-
Exactly.
We're fine.
All right. So now a couple other changes we've had that will affect you guys, or at least give you guys some pause as you're going through things. Okay. If you're doing block bracketing, okay, I'm gonna go take a weight real quick. I'm gonna go take a division and delete some weights out of here.
There's JD.
Okay.
He walked back in.
I'm just gonna take. I'll do this.
There's stuff to drink in the refrigerator and the coolers and help yourself.
I'm gonna build a couple of these brackets real quick, but it's only Pepsi. So if you're a Coke drinker like I am, you're just
You want to have Mountain Dew?
messing with you. It's all good.
I don't have any sweet tea.
I'm just messing. I had sweet.
Pepsi, give me a Pepsi.
We had sweet tea in Ohio that I got diabetes from. It was a problem.
You haven't had sweet tea in Kentucky, and
It was a problem.
yes, good.
I'm gonna forget if it's in the-
It's no good.
All I'm doing right now, guys, is I'm just going through and making it where I can do a block bracket on these 8 use. I'm almost done now. All right. And get rid of this stuff here. Different fleets. So different fleets. I'll leave that one, just like it is. Okay. So delete. Delete. And spell delete first. I failed spell checks. Okay. All right. So now I want to go make sure we got block bracketing turned on because you guys also do some block bracketing. So setting up bracketing. Wait a minute, where am I at? Zero.
Yeah, do you know where it is?
Hey, yes.
Like you do?
It does not look like I did, does it? I usually do it in the head.
Clever, it's a caffeine.
Here's right here. Pop. Check. Yeah. So under my bracketing methods, I want to make sure I have block bracketing selected. Okay. Block bracketing is mass and block. So if you take people and you group them by the weight classes, and then you can bracket them how you want to. So now with that, we changed it because you guys were used to what you saw this past year where everything was green and everything was white, whatever. So we kind of made some different changes to that. So if you go over to bracketing block. Yeah, you got your priority settings, all that kind of stuff. You guys know I'm not going to deal with that stuff. But if I come in here, my 8U voice freestyle now. Okay. I'm going to see I've got gray ones. I've got a yellow one. And then reason for the yellow, and we have a key up here at the top. Did we put the key? Yeah. So green is built. Okay. Yellow means the weight class exists, but it's not built yet. Okay. And then the gray is not blocked. Okay. So when you're looking at these and you're trying to figure out what you're doing here, because a lot of times what you guys would do is if you import it in straight from membership, you get that Madison weight class, and it would sit there and it would be green like it was built, but it wasn't really built, and you have to delete that weight class, all that kind of stuff. So it's just so you can see the fact of you got these different types of color schemes that we have here from a gray, meaning hey, these aren't blocked. You need to save those and deal with them. Your yellows are already built, and so you can deal with those too if you need to. And it would be green if they were already built and bracketed and everything else was good with them. So if I look at 8U Greco, I wonder what's that show? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's yellow. Yellow, it should
Yep.
be.
Grouped. Okay. So yeah, so that's where well, these are technically grouped. Those gray ones are technically grouped. Okay. So yeah. So does the weight class exist? That's what it means. All right. So yeah, so they're green if they're already done, that sort of stuff. So that way as you're looking through your block bracketing, you're looking at things, hopefully that'll give you a little bit better idea when you're getting through there and you're seeing those. Because when you pull in those Madisons, if you pull in that Madison weight class, it's gonna say Madison, it's gonna be yellow, and be like, hey, why is this yellow? That sort of thing. Because you shouldn't, the only way you should get a yellow is if you actually imported them in with weight classes into a weight class, that sort of thing. If you're grouping them, that sort of stuff.
If it's yellow, they're assigned to a weight class.
Yep. Okay.
So don't touch it.
Or
Or
delete the weight class.
or delete the weight class because you may need to delete that weight class. That may not be what you wanted at all.
So
Yeah.
if I on freestyle, you'd have yellow.
Right.
Yep. So like if I go to my freestyle
So
one,
like if you had a tournament where you had a girls division and you decide you actually want to Madison them because your numbers are low, and you go and look at here, they're all yellow because they registered.
they're all assigned to a weight. Yeah.
So you delete the weight classes, they'll go gray.
But you gotta go to the other page, delete the weight.
No,
class,
I could go here. I could go here and say delete selected, and it would delete them. So like if I go delete selected right here.
Now it's not yellow.
Yep.
And now I can go in.
And now I can do that. Yep. So when you have that Madison, when you see that big yellow Madison, you can just say delete selected. It'll bust them all out and then put them where it needs to be ready to roll on this page.
Now,
So you
what
can
if I
go from
wanna,
there.
like, I got that one, like one kid, say if I wanna, God, sounds.
Do that again? You mean like grab it, drag it?
Yeah,
And zoom in, zoom
it's
in.
like that. I don't see grab the dots.
Yep.
You did that this past year.
Okay.
In your tournaments, not pretty fast too.
Yeah.
One out of the 3-man and one out of the 4-man and put them together,
Make their own.
Okay.
make their own.
I'm gonna separate this wrestler out. All right. Separate. Separate.
You guys said that loud.
What'd you say?
More out. Cause I can't see that little graphic symbol. There we go. Okay.
Okay. So from here, see what's going on there. So I can take this guy and separate him out, and now it's separated him out. Now he's wherever he was supposed to be. It regrouped him and moved him away. All right. So yeah, there he is. So it dropped him down. Okay. So I can separate him out, and then I can move him wherever I wanted to. And I'm trying to find somebody that's close to him here. Close to one of this guy. So let's just separate that guy out. Well, and now I got these two guys out, and I can be like, all right, cool. Now we'll put him in here and do that. Okay.
But do you have a spot where you can mess with, say, if I don't want, my Madison, I don't want a 10%, I want a 5%.
Yes.
That's up here at the top. That's all these things up here at that.
Madison's so.
Priority settings.
Alright.
Here's my tolerances, bracket restrictions. I want this number from the same state, this number from the same team. Group sizes. I want them to do however many groups and whatever my max size is, all that kind of stuff that I want to deal with. And then my display settings is selecting which divisions I want to deal with. Okay. Now the other thing here, so like this kid here. So say this kid, you guys don't move up divisions, right?
No.
Kentucky will, because they don't care.
No.
All right, so not only divisions, but if I wanted to move this guy for some reason,
Can I be excused?
yes, right? I'm going to click. By the way, I roast everybody. So I'm going to click this. I can click that trash
I
can.
wonder if John Carl went home.
Exactly, and I can either say, "Hey, I want to leave him in this division," or I can remove him from this division. And I can also then say, "Hey, I want to move him up to this other division." Okay, so I can move him to a different division if I need to. Not you Indiana people. It's just for Kentucky and Michigan back there in the back. It's Michigan and Kentucky on. All right. So then when I do that, well, now that guy's moved and he's in that other division, so I could go do that stuff if I need to. Right?
It's when they're destroying everybody and they're getting.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, world team kids.
You do that same thing to let them wrestle both divisions.
So if you want to let somebody wrestle, well, they have rules. They have rules.
Double.
They have rules. They have rules.
That's true.
But they have to be a nice.
But you do division at a time anyway.
But this is one division at a time anyway. But if I wanted to change anything about a kid, like, hey, I do want to put him in two division or whatever, I would click on his name. It would bring him up, and then I would just put him in another division.
Yeah.
Cool, okay.
And then I would save that. And boom, now he's in another division. Okay. And I can move him to different divisions and different weights. So I can put him in whatever division and weights I want to if they were already blocked off or whatever, that sort of stuff. Okay.
I stumbled upon that once.
Now, another change that we did, another change that we have had in here is when you go to your weights, I'm probably not gonna have it in here, but everybody remembers the dirty brackets, right? So everybody remembers dirty brackets. All right.
Yeah.
So we don't have any in here right now. I'm gonna go create one. Okay. So I'm gonna go in this, no, not that one. I'm in this bracket here. I just gotta remember who it is. Elias. I'm gonna take Elias. And I'm gonna remove him. Man, that's so small. So big. All right. You guys gotta get size. All right, so there we go. We're gonna remove him. Okay, so I just removed him from the bracket. Okay, so removing him from the bracket, I now see that I have him as dirty. It's dirty, right? So now I messed up and I meant to put him. I did not mean to remove him. Okay, so now I'm going to add him back. It took the dirty away. All right, so before when you were doing things in your bracket, whether it was this or if you were taking a random, you added somebody to the bracket, you were just going to manually put them in the bracket because there was a buy and you were like, this guy showed up and I need to put him in there. It would still show dirty. You'd have to remember to be like, oh, don't rebuild that bracket. It's really good. Now we recognize that stuff that you're doing and we say, hey, this is not dirty anymore. This is okay. So it's only dirty if it's truly dirty now. So it's
Or a fourth person in the premium and then causing that to trigger a dirty bracket.
yeah, yeah. So that'll take care of those things for you. So that will take care of some of the false dirties, is what I'll call them, because it's the things that you meant to do that wasn't really a dirty bracket. So that should take care of that. And what that does is if you replace somebody on a bracket, if you replace somebody on a bracket manually, it's going to say, hey, give him that seed. Now he's in there and he's good. If you take somebody out and then you accidentally did that, and you put him back in. It's going, oh no, we're good. That sort of thing. If I just add a new person to it and I don't do anything with that person, it's going to be dirty. It's going to say, "Hey, we've got somebody in here that's not on the bracket." So now it will truly be more of an actual dirty status. So you can follow along with that a little better as you go through the things. Okay. All right. Any questions? Anything you guys have had problems with that you want to talk about or look at or see? John's like, I've never done anything, so I want it all. Yeah.
For middle school, so a lot of our middle school tournaments, I'll set up statistician emails. So how do you set up statistician email and get
They're called team admins.
team admins?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And so when you're into a tournament, I'll go into. Did you guys do it for your sectional?
We
Mhm.
do, yeah, but we season teams, so we just pull them in.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
They're, yeah, they were seasoned, so it showed up on their.
But you're
stats.
oh, and you didn't do it for duels. Duels came through us. Okay, never mind. All right. So I was
We
thinking
can
about
still show it, but it's just easier for you.
so if I come in here and go users, all right.
I'm
I've
also
got-
trying to
You
force.
could also look under the Coney City 2-day tournament.
But I'm also trying to force their hand to because all middle schoolers are supposed to have a USA Wrestling card. So I'm trying to force their hand.
If they use this, it makes it they can't enter them on the roster without it.
Okay, because track wrestling, there's all there's
Yes.
ways to get around it.
Yes, that's why we did this. So so if we go, I'm going to set up my settings to be for team admins for registration. So when I come down to my pre-reg methods, I can choose team admin invite. Okay, and so what that means is I'm now going to use team admins to invite those guys to their teams and things like that. Oh, sure. I think I should put this just in here. Feel free to call me guys right there. All right. So
Didn't even do it for Coney City, did we not? Cause
just like
yeah,
Yeah.
because.
so team admin invite, what you want to do there.
What
Okay.
about the middle school one?
Then when I come in, I want to go to my users and I want to go to and I'll see this team admins tab. Okay. From my team admins tab, I'm going to add a team and I would select whichever I could do season teams for the season like we're talking about here. I can do an existing user account or an unknown user account. Okay. So if you don't know if that guy has a USA Bragging account or not, you don't know, but you know his email address, you would go unknown, put in whatever his email address is. And then you'd already have to have your teams pre-filled, like these are the team names that we're going to have, and then you select which team it is, okay? And then from there you'll add it, and it adds that person it's going to send them when I check this and say, hey, email selected, and boom, notification email. I can put in whatever subject I want, but there's a template of one that's already there. It's like you've been asked to be a team admin for this, blah blah blah. All right, and I can email that selected, okay? When it emails them, it's going to email to that email address and it's going to say, hey, go here, click here to do your thing. He clicks, creates his account. It's going to link him up to that person. Okay. The same way if I went in here and if I knew that they had an account. Jesus.
Oh my.
Hey. Yeah. All right. So just like that right there. So once they've created their account, it'll show up as like, oh, okay, cool. Here's Dave. He's there. He's got stuff, whatever. Okay. All right. So all that starts to show up in there as you're going through it. And so that's where you would create those team admins. Then you'd be able to send out the email to them. That would invite them in. Once they are team admin, they can add other team admins for their team. That sort of stuff. They can add other people to help monitor and manage and do that sort of stuff. Okay. And then based on what your settings are, as to what they are able to do as far as like if you say that they can, because we can talk about restrictions for a second. All right. So as I come in here and I get restrictions, so by default there's no restrictions in here. Okay. So that means that I can put Pat in 20 different weight classes, 20 different divisions, 20 different whatevers, right? Doesn't matter. But I can set restrictions on it to say, hey, I want these divisions, they have to be this age range. that sort of thing. I can set restrictions for different types of things and set my restrictions for it. Okay. And that'll help, that can help curb some of those guys from doing things and put them in the wrong spot, especially if you're in a youth, middle school or a youth, or maybe you're in both middle school and youth. You want to make sure that the right people are in the right ages and or grades for those divisions. You can do all that kind of stuff right there through your restrictions, and that will apply. But then also in your settings, registration, I can set here what's the team wrestler limit, how many can be on a team. I can set how many, what's the team weight limit, how many can be in a weight class, and it gets how many wrestlers can be entered into a weight class. What is the wrestlers? Can that wrestle multiple weight classes? So I can set some limits here, and these would apply automatically to it as well. Okay, so all that starts to apply as you do the settings to those team admins as you go through it.
And can I use this for high school where they don't use USA Wrestling?
Yes. Yep. Yep. AU uses us. New Way's running a tournament right now on bootleggers in Tennessee. What's that?
So now, guys, they added a division deadline. So in restrictions now, like you're doing a multi-style tournament. Now you can lock out Greco, like say you can lock out by division while you're building Greco and running. You can lock them only out of that, keep it open for.
So the release to public is set. You can set a restriction for, and I'm making it bigger for you, right there, Patty, so you can see that.
Same.
Okay.
It's not just her. I'll take some of the heat, Patty.
Release to public. Okay. Release. And then no, that's blue. And then divisions. You select your divisions that you want to apply it to. So yeah, so that's what you can do there. So that will allow you to lock it out per division, so that hey, I'm building these. I'm going to build these right now. I don't want all the parents coming to me yelling at me when I'm just trying to get them built, trying to get them grouped or whatever. You can do all that kind of stuff ahead of time.
Or they start seeing their weights, the freestyle's running tomorrow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And you can do that ahead of time, lock them out so they can't see it till tomorrow. All that sort of stuff.
And then we'll have to change, like do it for each tournament. I can just set it for that style specifically. and have
Yep,
it
for that
right.
style. Yep, and then that will take care of all that kind of stuff for you. Okay. All right. So that helps you lock all that kind of stuff out too. All right. So really truly, do you want to go over seeing team stuff?
You wanna touch any secret team stuff, or do you wanna wait?
Or do you want to wait?
Wait till
Like after the fight or.
I'll take potty break. Go to potty break. Go ahead, and we'll figure out what you
Yeah,
want.
let's stop, let's take a 10-minute break.
Everybody go to that one bathroom right now. Right now.
The restrooms right over the hallway.
Already winning, so I.
There's plenty of trees. Plenty of trees.
Well, I'm going to the key line.
Then just to see it.
Just a brief overview.
Brevity is key. I like the chess piece. I like the chess piece.
We had.
That's what we do.
And
I like chess. I like chess.
That's cool. So Josh is the king.
Very cool.
Arden.
Bring all my gear stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. We changed companies.
some yeah.
Did you?
We're about to have 3 other states determined.
I know.
Yeah, but then you.
Robert is like.
Well, we're gonna nail them down. We're gonna nail them down on the 17th after that. So.
That's somebody you want to hear and.
And I'm gonna press button, but look, bro, we need to make decisions so we can go ahead and go to training rooms and have it ready to go. Because it can't be like last year where it's a week before.
Streamline, that's to tell Robert. So he's just gonna write me down the business.
I'll have dates, everything for like, we gotta have an answer, so we can get these things done. Here's the timeline to get them done. This is when we need to start it. Okay.
kind of thinking, say some area and just gonna say, what about that? Hey, come to lunch with us and then maybe.
Well, we're not-
Wait, you get in like at,
I don't think I get into it too. So when I go,
But what I don't understand is how when you're teaching or whatever, kids are
wait, Christina sent it to me. Yes, Christina to me.
They got
Hey,
division again. Wait, it's
I'd have to think. I would. The same years, and here, middle school has
okay.
Right,
And I went to find she was in the wrong institution. And I didn't realize that they were coming.
Yeah, I won't let you pick the wrong one, so unless her birthday's wrong, or you think.
Well, every other tournament, which we never like you.
yeah.
You guys have good folks on folk style season. You have
Dave,
middle
you have somewhere on the
sixth grade kids.
we
Yeah,
have
but
the
they
parents
added
that when it's a
three
round
different
robin, they know.
We have no boundary lines.
There's somewhere that I can pull it up, turn my computer around and show it.
it's public for them as well. Oh, no, I'm gonna show you where it is, but it's public for them as well. They can see the same thing.
Okay.
So it's one, do it, and two, show them how to do it. So like when you go, whenever the bracket is done, there'll be a tie breaking tab that shows up.
Is that always better? And I
Yes, always.
Okay.
But this also shows up for the parents. Like if you're there with a parent, hey, grab your phone, go to your kid's weight class, click on the weight, and then click on that tie breaking tab.
See,
And then when you click on it, it tells you what the explanation is. That tells you it goes down to criteria, most wins, all that kind of stuff. It goes down to criteria to tell you how they get. That's what. Yeah, so that's already.
especially with new restaurants.
Did you find?
Did I find what?
Did you find what you can?
Oh, I was doing it. I opened up my phone, I had 11 texts. I was like, oh, geez, let me read.
So ours, they asked us. I gotta make sure I'm in the right email.
Years.
Yeah, 1256.
If you're high school. If you're high school.
Or,
Yeah, something.
yeah. I think that, so what, those were, so let's get the find on the phone. Again, where there's name, which they can point it at, turn your phone.
So when we're out, I'm getting school.
The Greece stuff.
Shit, 3-man round robin, and you want them to get out. You just have to, how you move this?
I go to the rounds and I move those rounds up from the top. And that way when numbers gives them in the first couple rounds, it's out the door.
Oh.
Yep.
You just do it in the rounds in the beginning.
Yeah, I go around in the beginning and I move those guys up. I move the 3-man robins, 4-man robins, and make sure they're wrestling the foot full round. And I
You do that.
Yep.
And we don't have to wait around as long as you're getting rid of it.
Yep. Yep.
When I went to Illinois, I totally not pay attention to much. Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh,
Yes. Good. Yeah, sorry.
Well, that makes sense.
Especially the little guys, round robins. Are you cold?
Mhm. What do you mean you're cold?
I'm over here painting myself. I'm leaving on this sweater, I'm leaving. All the way up there.
Two t-shirts in the garage. Two barn cats fight over there.
Alright, we needed that.
Let me tell you about the blue,
Recently.
you know the blue collar wrestling club where you guys?
Yes.
Say again.
Oh, that's what we had the most problem. Which one we because we don't let us, cross. Almost.
Huh?
Pretty fast. Yeah.
There's versions right here. We're at this end of.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Pat.
Okay,
You want to see some season stuff? You want to talk about seasons?
yeah, just take them to weight management, and then this way you guys will know.
I wouldn't be able to help you with, they call their time.
Yeah.
We don't tell Nicole you.
Why the restrictions, why the locks are.
Yeah, so
I
I mean, Mark used it, so he's familiar with it. So when we're doing the high school, you guys, most of you did like a girls sectional. And so why, like Jen said, why they weren't able to add a wrestler and things like that, and mainly, because they didn't have their weight management done, it's not on their roster. So this is where we're pulling from everything on high school. And I'm 99% sure that the boys are going to it next year or this coming year. So you all need to be familiar with it, and if they have questions, you're able to answer some of the questions.
Did you say if? It's when.
Yeah.
When they have questions. So what it is? So the key things are: one, kid has to be on the roster. Two, the kid has to have an assessment, and that assessment has to be approved. And if those three things have happened, then they're able to be on a roster and be able to be in the season. Okay.
They're still doing that through OPC.
This is our weight management.
Weight management.
This is our weight management.
This is their weight management.
This is our weight management.
And Anna's doing it all.
Yes, they do it through us. Yep. And so just like Wisconsin just signed with us, and we have a few more about signing as well. All right.
So has the game done it yet?
What's that? Yeah. So that's the first step. Is that gets them on the roster. Okay. Then it's up to the governing body.
And there is no workaround for this.
There's none.
If they don't have that body fat in there, they're not gonna be on the roster. Right.
If you didn't do your job,
We can just add them again. So they have to, that has to be in.
they have to do their job.
Jeff's.
Yeah.
And high school coaches who have been around.
And this is the difference.
They're new high
Yes.
school coaches.
You guys,
Maybe
what I'd
that's
say
why.
is Indiana's in a unique position that they've never had to follow those rules or deal with it. So last year was their first time. So a lot of their guys, this is the first.
Follow the rules.
So we didn't care about wrestling up as division, but we did
Yeah.
care about.
Don't care about that.
We just care about that.
PC for your weight management on track now.
Yes.
Okay, this was really,
You're not wrestling that.
yeah,
That's what I told them was like
Yeah, you have to.
everyone else in the country
You have to-
is going to be familiar.
There-
with
Print out.
Indiana was the pilot state for weight management.
They're great.
But we use our own athletic association. They develop their own in-house, so we've always used it through our IHSAA. So this was all brand new.
And have rules around it.
So we had to, so it
It is
was,
our first year sanctioning girls, so all new coaches.
All you good. All you
but it
things.
was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
Robert Polkins, our commissioner, said, when I sanction these girls, we want to be your pilot state,
Yeah.
and so USA.
We did it.
They held
Yeah.
they held true to that. So it was all brand new for our coaches, our trainers, our athletic directors, everything. So
And that's kind of the hope is that we won't have the same volume. We won't have the same volume of questions because
yeah,
most of the country has followed that same path already, and so there should be that hopefully not as much.
So
But-
they asked about what that was.
yeah,
The coaches, you get your roster at the beginning of the year, they've got to go do a hydration test. They get their height, if they pass the hydration test, then they get their height, their weight, and a body fat. Reading, depending on how they want to do that at their school.
Yep.
And there's specific assessors that are allowed to do it. that assessor then puts all that into the system. And that's the only way you get in your roster to be able to enter a tournament.
One of the very first things you did at the beginning of the season, so we get all the kids in the room, and after about 2 weeks of practice, we go,
Let's go get
it's
assessed.
our weight assessment.
Mhm.
Hey guys, we'll tell them about a week out, your weight assessment's this date. Your weight assessment's this date,
Get your stuff ready.
get your stuff ready, and then, we gotta get the athletic director and everything. And then-
That's the football players. That's the football players.
And then a bunch of.
Yep.
But well, then you gotta catch all your football players. Huh? But yeah, if you show up at a tournament
Yep.
and so before we go to the tournament, I have to go in and I have to put my roster in, and I have to print
Wait.
off the track. Which I hope we can get Kentucky to this because I'm about done with track. And then I have to print that roster off, and then if I show up at weigh-ins Saturday morning and they're not on that roster, then I'm screwed.
They don't get
And if they don't have a weight assessment,
Yep.
you're definitely not wrestling.
And it's-
They have to be on that roster.
Here's his eligible weight classes that get into Russell
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yep.
This is the only place they can go. And then when you get done with that tournament,
I could go back.
now I wish Kentucky would get away from this. I wish they would make the tournament director enter weights.
So here's the so you're gonna see something in here. So you can stop with all that. When we get in here, you're gonna see some cooler stuff. Because if they do weigh-ins through the system at a tournament, it automatically puts on your weighing sheet for you. You're already there. It's already done. I'll already filter it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the systems talk, everything talks. So if you have that tournament in bracketing and you weigh in for that tournament bracketing, it's gonna automatically populate to your weighing sheet. Everything happens. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
When we did the ask, are you gonna put the weights in at state duels? And Jonathan and his assistant were like, well, we'll do your job for you.
Yeah, don't do
I
that.
said, no.
No.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's true.
So okay, so with this comes down to pipe. So the first thing is got to be on the roster, got to have their assessment, got to be approved. Then they're on the roster and can be put in a tournament. Okay. Then the governing body has rules that they set in place that can trump some of that stuff from a standpoint of if you don't have if for some reason like you're talking about putting your weights, if they didn't put in their weights for 2 consecutive weeks or 2 consecutive matches, then they can't be put on the roster for a third time. So it's force coaches to have to go back in and update, make sure their stuff's there, all that kind of stuff. So when you're talking about problems or coaches saying, "Hey, I don't have this kid, I don't see this kid, whatever," it's one of those 3 things that's happening. They're either not on the roster because they haven't been certified, or if they haven't been certified, if they've been certified and they're on the roster, they probably have some weigh-ins that haven't been entered yet. Okay, and the reason for entering was because they ran some stuff with track, and so that sort of stuff. Okay, so those are the 3 things of why they would be missing. Okay, from that standpoint. Now, as we go into it from a school standpoint, how do they do these things? Okay, so first they go to the roster. And they can either add the people to the roster, and then they go to the assessor, and the assessor has them to be able to put in their assessment, which for you guys meant last year you took the sheet and you gave it to your athletic director, and the athletic director put it in. So that sort of thing. Or you just give the sheet to the athletic director or the assessor, and the assessor can put them in. So that one of the 2 people can put them on your roster. Okay.
Or in a panic screenshot.
Yeah. Or in a panic screenshot, and we do it.
How many did we do?
Screenshot, I did
Yeah, we do it.
the.
So yeah. So that's how they get put in onto your roster. They get an assessment. That assessment is just like you guys have looked at and seen before. So when you add an assessment, you're saying, hey, who is my assessor? Who is the approved assessor that could do it? Hydration test, did they pass or not? And then from there, you go to your skid folds and on all the different ones, depending on what you're doing from Biopod, any of the different things you're doing to do your assessments. All right. And then once they have their assessment in, you can see what their skin folds are, what their minimum weights are, where they accepted, all that kind of stuff too. If the governing body is set up for it, they can have consents taken care of. They can actually have their approvals because they didn't meet the minimums of fat of hydration, that sort of thing. What?
What's the orange?
It's a consent. It's just that you guys aren't using this, but it's a consent form that can be applied at the governing body level. To say, hey, this person wasn't at the, was at 4% body fat because they're 100-pound kid and they're 6 feet tall, but he's like, can he wrestle or not? So you may have to get consent for him, have to get stuff done. So some of them can enforce those things and they can be taken through here, all those sorts of things.
Can you print off a weight to send?
Let me get to it.
That form you're saying Indiana's not using that?
No, because like I said, a lot of things were new as far as what they're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So then as you go through this right here, let me go back to transactions. All right. So then once they get put onto a list, they get a transaction made. Once they have that transaction, everybody shows up on that. As far as who was assessed at that time, what the date was, all those sorts of things, what type of assessment it was, Tanita, here's their minimums, all that sort of stuff's there. Okay. Now, once they have all that kind of stuff and it's approved, then they're on the roster. Okay. From there, now I can look at my weight loss plan. I don't want to see. Now, one thing from you guys' standpoint, and you can see every time a weight is locked in, it tells you where they were, where they could wrestle. Oh, you're good, a different girl. That's she's already small. All right, that's
She's
fine.
tiny.
Uh,
Very.
yeah, good. All right. That's my plan. If I have enough people that want to ask questions. All right. So when I go here, now I can see, all right, locked in. I can see where they could go, how they could go down to 45, all that kind of stuff's in there. Now, if I'm a coach, which I assume you guys probably coached at some point, whatever. All right. If I'm a coach, what do I like to do with my kids? I want to be able to say, hey, when can he be down at a certain weight? Right. So I need him at 45, but I don't need her at 45 until later in the year or whatever. I come in here and say, hey, what if they weighed in at 146 here? Okay. It will go ahead and assess and say, hey, based on 146, this is their new set plan to get to where they need to be, that sort of thing. So it'll start factoring that. It doesn't lock it in, it's just you testing it out, seeing where they need to hit, what weights where, that sort of stuff, as you're going through it. Okay. All right.
I do want to say, like, this is like on a daily.
Yep. You're on a weekly.
We were on a weekly, so we will be making adjustments.
Yep.
When we meet with Robert,
Yep.
we'll be making adjustments, so.
Because theirs is whatever you can make on Friday, you can make on Monday.
And we probably won't do that
They go for the
now,
week.
we'll do that in the fall.
Yeah, they go for the week. So it's like whatever your lowest weight was for the week that you can make that on Monday and not have to go down every day of the week.
Yeah,
So you could wrestle that. at
Yeah,
school during the week.
they want them to be able to wrestle.
Yeah, they want to be able to wrestle that.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, you can put in your 2-pound allowance dates. You can put in your when's their scratch date, when do they get their consecutive days allowance, all that kind of stuff is all factored in here as you go through it. And what you got, what date was the assessment, all those sorts of things. What's their plan based off of how many very, very, very accurate point 80 points per day they can go down. All those sorts of things are in there. All right. As they go through the season and as they start wrestling more and more, they can go on the roster and they can see the matches. So they can say, hey, what's the season matches for this girl? And they can see all the matches that are in here. If they commit these matches and accept them, then they can get the stats program is included in here. So all their stats start to come through, all that kind of stuff as they go through the process of things.
So when they walk into the meeting, they said,
Yeah, it's all right there.
It's all right there. It's all right there.
Someone will pretend like they don't know how to use it, so they go, I don't know. Rest.
Yeah.
Well, the other coaches bring them up.
And then
Oh, we don't know those.
yeah, and then once you got your schedule, we also now have the ability. This is new. We haven't talked about the first season yet. We now have the ability that as long as everything's in the system, that you can go in and you can say, hey, I want to see the head-to-heads, and it'll take you the head-to-head, and it'll look through the season to grab all the heads and everything. Yeah, so it'll look through everybody in the field and all their head-to-heads.
Take so much time
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, and what you do at that point, be like, hey guys, but here's what you have to enforce. If you didn't have it in the system and you didn't approve it, and it's not, you didn't check it, that's on you. We're at the seed meeting now. We're not adding it. It's done.
Well, one of my selling points to Robert is, eventually, Robert, I want to get away from your seating meetings.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can set up pre-seeds, right? So you
Yeah.
can say,
Yeah,
show me the
Yep.
pre-seeds, so we have something
Yeah.
to start. from.
Yep.
right.
And then-
And that's what they did. That's what they did at the conference. Yeah, at their sectionals. So I add something to my schedule. All
So
right.
are you able to pull from, if something was run on track, you're able to pull
No.
the results in here,
No, because we're not track.
but you can't import it?
No.
So it has to, you're only taking in consideration tournaments that are run in this system.
Now they can come in. They can add the tournament themselves. That's what I was about
Yeah.
to say here. They can add a tournament. They can add their matches manually, but I can't import anything from track because we're not track.
Whenever we're going, like, the date, they don't
Yep.
track. I have to sit down and put.
Yeah, you have to put 'em in.
Take all night.
Yeah, and that's what we have to do, and that's what you have to do here because track won't play
I
next
was
week.
just doing export import, but yeah, I get it.
All right. So yeah, so once you add them to your schedule, once you add an event to your schedule, if it is in USA bracketing, it'll already be on here. you can actually put stuff on your schedule and then you can accept that, yes, I'm going or not. So if Pat's running a tournament and she's like, hey, John's going to come, John's team's coming, she can go ahead and put John's team in that tournament. And then you get to say, yep, approve it. We're going to that. And it'll show up on your schedule and it'll be in yellow unless you approve it. And once you approve it, it'll show up in green. So you know it's there. So it's a two-way thing. You can put her tournament on your schedule and she has to approve you, or she can put you on the schedule and you have to approve it. That way it'll show up green and everything like that. All right.
It's like the same, it's the same.
And you can try, yes.
Yeah.
But looks way better.
Exactly. So then once you're on here as well, if I click the scale and that will give me my weigh-in sheet that I can then print off my weigh-in sheet up here. I can print that, do whatever I need to with it. But all these weights, because I ran this in the system, these came over automatically from bracketing. So once they weighed in bracketing, push it over here, all that. Now the thing is, if you're going to Pat's tournament and you're in bracketing doing your team and Pat is running the tournament on bracketing, when you put this weigh-in sheet and you commit it, it pushes all your kids into the weight classes already over there for you into that tournament. So it already put them all in there. Then now you can just go over there and enter any C criteria you might need or something like that, but it'll go ahead and put them over there for you so you can have them in that tournament ready to go. That's why you see this over here, event weights, because it already put them in the tournament for them, that sort of stuff. And as they adjust them to split weight classes, they'll adjust it here too. So you can see what they wrestle and all that kind of stuff in that tournament. Okay. From here, of course, you can enter your weight loss plan. You can see their weight loss plan. You can take them off. So maybe these kids weren't wrestling that weekend or whatever. You can also choose a do not place, which is this little checkbox here, which not do not place, did not participate. Yeah. And now take them off where it doesn't count for them, that sort of thing, for weigh-ins, that sort of stuff. So however you need to do that, you can deal with those things as well in here. And then print it off, do anything you want to do there. Okay. Also from there, I can go into an event like this one, and it's a duels, so I can say, hey, there's nothing in here. If there were results, I could have them there, or I could say, hey, these are the matches, and add all the matches just like you were talking about by hand, add matches, and be able to pull them in and do all that kind of stuff that I wanted to there, and be able to do that. And if both teams are in the system, it's going to give you the rosters that are eligible for that tournament at that time. So you can say, yep, Dave, Russell, Pat, blah, 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 whatever, and go down the road. Okay. And so that's how you do it with some of that stuff. So a lot of this is what they're doing, but for you guys from Indiana, the main things that you're looking for is, are they on the roster? Do they have an assessment? All right, and have you updated all their weights for the season so far? Because the beginning of the season, as long as they have the roster and they have their weight assessment, they're going to be there. They're going to be able to add them. They're going to be good with them. Where they'll fall is 4 weeks into the season when they forgot to add a couple of go back in and put some weights if they wrestled in track somewhere or something like that, and they forgot to put their weights in. That's where they're going to be like, well, why can't I put them on my weighing sheet now? That's mine.
They can't figure that out. So go to the schedule, click the scale next to the event.
Yeah, click the scale and add your roster.
For individual tournament, you've only got 14 wrestlers coming, but you have this 15th kid that wants to do away. How do you do that?
So right now, the way Indiana does it, because this is Indiana thing, it is an Indiana thing, but
Say it.
oh, sorry. It's this great Indiana thing that did where kids can show up but not wrestle. So you, but that's the thing. So that's the whole thing. So what they,
Well, that's where zero.
yeah, that's if that's zeros them out. So
So if I make a
what,
weigh-in sheet
yeah.
and that person like did,
This is-
wrestle.
yeah, that's how they didn't show up at all. For what you guys do, it's they get put into the tournament and then you guys take them out of the weight class and division. And you leave them in the tournament with their weight. You just take them out of the weight class and division. That way they still show up on their weighing sheet as weighed in. But they didn't wrestle, so they didn't actually get assigned to a division or a weight class. So that's what you guys have to do for those people. They would still add that 15th person to their weighing sheet, get them into the tournament, and then in the tournament you take them out of the division and weight class. That way they can weigh in.
So what are other states gonna do?
They don't do that.
What do they do?
That kid's JV. That kid, like you guys have a rule. So they have a rule where you have to have X number of weigh-ins to be eligible, and so they may have a second string guy or a third string girl or whatever that they don't know if she's going to be able to wrestle in the state tournament or wrestle for sectionals, but she needs these weigh-ins just in case for later down the road. So for like most other states, that's not what it says. The state that I know of, that's not a thing.
Okay.
They don't have minimum weigh-ins to get to. They have matches. They'll have matches and things like that they have to have, but they don't have weigh-ins. And
Just like other states don't have forfeits.
yeah, just like other states don't have forfeits. Yeah.
What?
No, the way you guys do, where you say so. Another thing the Indiana does. All right, they're gonna flip tables in a minute. So 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 what they do.
What's into this?
It's not Kentucky's fault. If it wasn't for Kentucky, we would not be talking about all this. But no, yeah. What they do is when they get to is it sectional? Is that the one? So it's sectional. A lot of local events too, which is kind of weird, whatever. But if you don't fill all your weight classes, okay, if you don't fill all your weight classes, they don't want buys on the bracket. They make your team have forfeits. So you get guys called forfeit. You get French guys called forfeit after your team. Yes, because they want team points. Yeah.
106 pounder. I mean, why should that be a buy? You don't have
Why
a
should that
6 pounder, so it should be a buy.
Yeah. So they add they add forfeit wrestlers into
Yep.
the tournament
Says
that
we
then
have forfeit.
allow
Is this like a socialist state?
they get a they get a whole bunch of French guys named forfeit to wrestle.
You got like this.
Well, so we come up to wrestle up here a lot.
Uh-huh.
Right? So when we come up, we need to log in and put our own kids in the system, or
No, so if you're going to a tournament and they have it, they would give you a team admin access. You'd go add your team just like normal, whatever that sort of thing.
but how are you going to check my weigh-in sheets? Or I'm just going to have to bring.
Those are going to be those will be because you're not in our system. No, that'll be just mainly at the tournament because that weighing sheet at that point only applies to you and your state. So that's between you and your state and God. Yeah, your team is not locked. These teams are.
Right. So I can come up here and just be like, hey man, my kid's weighing in, and you don't know that he can only wrestle 113.
Nope.
So I wrestle 106.
Yep. That's on you when your state
Yeah, you
when your
have to
state
trust
when
it.
your state catches you. When your state catches you, then you're in trouble. That's not
Well, I'm right. I'm right. That's Saint X. Saint X.
Yeah.
Right. Trust.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole thing. So I mean, what I'd say is that's on you and your state at that point because that's a state regulation at that point. It doesn't, because just like Indiana saying, hey, you can make whatever this. When you go to other states, you abide by their. I mean, this is actually the thing. You abide by their weight loss plans.
Yeah.
So it's like when we were in Georgia and I go to Tennessee. Tennessee had a 2-pound allowance that was before ours. So when we went there, we get 2-pound allowance, even though ours is 2 weeks later. That sort of thing. So we wrestle 1 week there.
Let's never mess up your descent.
Exactly. So we still have to make our descent plan because our we're abiding by theirs. There's 2-pound allowance, but our state we can't do that. We have to make our weight plan anyway. So it's like all those sorts of things. Whenever you go to a state, you're abiding by whatever their rules are in that state. You can go there. Unless you're in Minnesota, in which case you can't.
Granted, we thought I can't do it. My school can't do it, but yeah, so if we thought a 7th grader out, we would say, oh, we can't wrestle.
Yeah. Whereas like Minnesota, you can wrestle in 8th grade, be more.
Which is like in Ohio, they got the same in Ohio, but whenever we come up there, they don't keep they don't keep our 8th graders from wrestling. Oh yeah, it's on the sheet. No, it's on the sheet.
They're probably just being nice. So
That's the one thing they're not is nice.
So yeah, so that's how where the weight management and where they're going to have problems when they're getting them on the rosters and those sorts of things. The other thing to note is just when you're in a tournament. Let's get this tournament. That's teams. When we're in the teams here and we're looking at adding a wrestler or anything like that, I can only add for my season wrestlers who they are and that sort of thing that are in there. I can't add anybody else. I'm not going to be able to just put in by type in Joe Blow's name and put him in the tournament. These are season teams, whatever. When they're attached to it, you guys come up, you'd be a different team. You wouldn't be a season team. You'd be a regular team in the tournament. You could add your roster however you need to, but for these guys, they can only select from their season team and their season wrestlers that are on those teams as they go through those
Oh,
things.
you never know they were an 8th grader then.
Now we asked for grade. We asked for grade. You're not going to lie. So-
And then show them how to pull in the admin for
Yep.
the team admin.
Yep. So when you're in here and you go to your users, team admins, all right, and I want to add team admin, I can select my season teams and I can select my types. Like I want the head coach, I want the assistant coach, I want athletic, I want everybody to be able to do something. And then I can select my teams. And when I do that, I can do it all at once and hit add, and it'll add all those different admin types to the tournament. It'll look at their season team and say, hey, who's the head coach? Who has an assistant coach tag? Who has a head athletic director? Add all those as possible admins for that team inside of here. So you want to make sure you
don't
select
have to-
those.
You know, I-
You don't have to type in email addresses or anything like that. It already knows who they are,
does it for
and
you.
we'll just do it for you. Yep. And then what I'd say is if you do this, because this happened this year, if you do this and then like, oh, I want a head coach, I want the athletic director and assistant coach, and nobody for that school pops up on the teams page, on the team user page, they haven't done their stuff. They haven't signed their users yet. So they need to make sure they have users in. That'll happen at the beginning of the year more than anything.
And one person can wear 3 hats. They can be the head coach, the athletic director.
Not in
No.
Not in this system.
No.
No, not in the season team.
No.
Not in the season team.
The school. They
At school they might, but not inside of work management. Yeah. Okay. So those are the biggest things, biggest hurdles you got from here.
And each one of those could have different permissions too,
Correct.
because
To their season.
yeah, because Robert does not want like the coaches to have access to the weight management,
To the assessment.
to the assessment. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what I'd say last, just to kind of wrap up some features here. As you guys are running things this year, if you have a high school, one of the things about the system that's good is you can run every type of tournament in one tournament. You don't have to have 50 different tournaments. So when you're running your tournament here, I can go to my settings and I can make this tournament not only an individual tournament, but I can say, hey, it's going to be an individual and a dual tournament. And so then I can run my duals and my individuals. So if you have those tournaments that are like, hey, we run individuals on Friday night and Saturday we run duals, or vice versa, whatever, you can make individual and dual tournament, run them both in the same tournament. So the teams are only putting in their roster once and doing their thing and not have to go to different places and do other different things and all that kind of stuff. So you can deal with that stuff there. Okay. As we wrap up, any questions, anything you guys want to see? Equal opportunity.
You have a coach that decides.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I have a spreadsheet, and I
They
told our athletic trainer, I have a spreadsheet, I plug everybody in, it has a formula, it figures everything out, and I hand it to him. And he goes and he puts everything in. Now, he is very trusting, and
Yeah.
he also keeps watching me do the weights. My spreadsheet is correct.
You're involved.
But your math doesn't math.
You should be involved. In
I know
this
if
as
you're
well.
any coach.
No wonder.
Yeah.
What? No, that makes sense.
Hey, does Kentucky have buy downs?
What's that?
Oh, see, Georgia, we have buy downs, which is better. Oh, you.
buy down.
Oh yeah. So like, oh, your kid's 113, and he's he can his lowest weight's 108, 109 or whatever. Sure, go get a doctor sign off on it, pay me $50 and he can be 106.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's some-
No, but that's the Georgia. I mean, it's official. It's not like it's back door. That's like you send the $50 with the doctor's note saying he can be at that weight to GHSA, and GHSA goes in and says, "Yep, you can."
So that goes back to that and like the question I had for you earlier. So we show up to an Indiana tournament. I had 3 kids this year I had kids that were like, I'm not gonna play this year.
Mhm.
And it's okay, that's fine. Cool, that's a great idea. But then the season goes on
Yep.
and I can only be 126.1. So I can't wrestle 126.
Yep.
And they didn't want to go get reassessed.
Yep.
And so now they're weighing 123 at the end
Yep.
of the season. They can't wrestle.
That's 100%. Yep.
And so if I come up to an Indiana tournament and he weighed 123,
Sure. I mean, well, what I'd say is he can't until somebody from your state recognizes that and calls you in to your office.
but I guess that's going to be a question for me for KHSAA is if I do that, am I breaking?
KHSA, yes, you're breaking KHSA because your school. This is the weird synopsis of you have to follow your state's weight management plans.
Yeah.
All right. When you go to another one, you can abide by theirs, but you still have to answer to your state.
Right.
So that's why it's like in that instance, you're breaking your state's rules, and your state can get penalties for it.
Yeah, I had that at
tournament this year. Missouri backed out because they couldn't make our big rule.
So, cool. Any questions? Anything? I like it. Don't call me. You're good. Go ahead.
Well, no, I got your phone number.
Exactly.
Call 10.
Good. Good. Good.
And then we go to small, and then we go back.
Let's see which one's nicer.
Depends on what time it is.
Let's see what that